Okay, yeah, I forgot my cup of coffee. See, two people here.
Did they have to pay?
What about judging, man?
I mean, you're human.
They're pretty funny. I didn't say It's set on 68. I think it's warm in here, but okay. Hey, when I walked in and they were having court, it felt like it's on heat.
I just got down where it was at.
Yeah, I got one more person, I'm not Hey, Matt.
Sorry.
Right off the bat, right? We're gonna go ahead and get started. On October 30th, a letter went out to the county commission that we were gonna meet in this special session as a work session. The public notice was given, and part of that public notice was that there was gonna be no votes, no decisions tonight. And as a work session, there is not an agenda. But as an administrative function, I'm gonna call the roll, so we just have a record of who is in attendance. Commissioner Thomason?
Here.
Commissioner Herron?
Here.
Commissioner Collins?
Here.
Commissioner Clark?
Here.
Commissioner Murray?
Here.
Commissioner Chesser?
Here.
Commissioner Calicott?
Here.
Commissioner Barnhill?
Here.
Commissioner Pickard?
Here.
Commissioner Giannakis?
Here.
Commissioner Jordan?
Here.
Commissioner Nash is here, and Commissioner Mayberry and Commissioner Puckett are not here. At this point, we're gonna turn the meeting over for an introduction by the chairman of the Planning and Zoning, and that will just kick it off. Again, the purpose of this is a work session to discuss the land use plan that's being proposed and any other planning and zoning related issues.
Is there a commissioner that needs a copy of the land use plan? Everybody good? We got a couple extra. So, tell you what. We don't have enough for everybody, but I share around. This is the appendix. This is gonna be it's gonna be real informal, because it is a work session. And I have the task of presenting, because I am the chairman of the planning commission. And I'll say this, because it's gonna be very informal, and I will have to ask the crowd to keep it down so that the discussion can take place with the commissioners. And so, commissioners, as I go through, if you have a question, stop me anywhere. We can wait till the end of this section or whatever. And I will remind you, no action is going to be taken, and but we do need some discussion. Make sure that there's understanding of the plan, the purpose of the plan, and all things. And so if there's but just note there's not going to be a vote tonight. This is just a work session. Grisham Smith, firm out of Nashville. They're the ones that put together the plan. I'm sure you saw that when you read through there. And it's me being the chairman of the planning commission. They did work with us, and so I'm going to present the land use plan. We're going to go through it. If there is something that I do not have the answer to, we still have their contact information. They were great to work with. They said that they would continue to work with us, and so they've got something in there that that I can't answer or whatever, I can get for you. But before we get started, everybody needs to understand, because there was some bad information that was put out, is that, and this will be brought up, and I'm sure you've probably seen this in the plan, is that on Monday night, we're gonna vote on the land use plan. And if it passes on Monday night, the land use plan does not have the power to change a single zoning, or it does not have the power to change the zoning resolution. It will not change any zoning of any parcel in the county. It will not change a setback. It will not change minimum lot size. It doesn't have the power to do that, okay? And so, I call it the green book because mine's in the green folder, but this is the Hickman County zoning resolution, and it has all of the provisions, it has the map in there about what properties are zoned what. It has the requirement for a zoning change. It has lot sizes, it has what is allowed in those zones. And so, whatever version of this that passes, whenever it does pass, it does not have the power to change any of that. That has been put out, that is incorrect. And so if the land use plan passes on Monday night, okay, or whenever it does pass, it does not change a single parcel that is zoned. It doesn't change lot size, it doesn't change any of that. And that's, I mean, that is key for everybody to understand that what you're voting on Monday night. And that is, it's talked about in the plan there, y'all read it, you've probably seen that, but are there any questions about that before we go any farther? Now, yes, sir.
But it will be used to change, I mean, will be looked at for future zoning changes in the book.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a guide, and I've got, this is the one we're working off right now. This one was, first done in '06, and then it was amended in '08. And, the truth about land use plan, it's an important document. There's been a lot of work that's been put into it. It's got some, I mean, it is supposed to be the guide that's used, but it's up to us on what we use from. In this one we're operating off right now, there's some strong language about certain areas of the county and how they need to be zoned. And it's in the implementation side of the current plan we're working off of, and the county commission chose to never implement. There's a term that was used in the current plan that we're working off right now that was done, that was modified in '08, and it's crossroad communities. And the implementation side was for separate zonings or allow separate things in those crossroad communities. But the county commission never changed the zoning resolution to use I don't think crossroad communities is even in that at all. And so we're, like it's the guide, but it's up to us on what we use this. And the truth of it is that we could pass it on Monday night, put it on the shelf, and never use any bit of it. I mean, because it's up to us to change. And I'll go through how the zoning resolution changes, okay? A county commissioner has to bring a resolution to amend the zoning resolution for it to change, okay? Now, in my opinion, changes need to go through the planning commission first. They need to be kicked around in the planning commission. We got a lot of resources in the planning commission. We've got our staff, we have our planner, that discussion can happen. But it doesn't have to start there, truly. A county commissioner can bring a resolution to amend the zoning resolution, okay, to change that, to change what residential zoning is. Right now, the minimum lot size is 30,000 square feet. You could bring a resolution to change that. You can change, there's zoning, there's amendments to the zoning resolution about properties that are currently agricultural zoned that want to go to R1 that are in the growth boundary. So if this changes, it has to come through a resolution to amend from the county commission. And that it's going to be brought before the county commission. There's going to be a public hearing for 1 month. Then the second month, there's a possibility of a vote. And there's a second public hearing. That's how lot sizes, zoning requirements, that's how it is changed. It is not changed with the land use plan. Now, does the land use plan have suggestions to get to where what is in here? Of course, it does. But in order to enact those, it's got to come from this body. And there's a lot of things in the plan that we're working off right now that was never implemented. and I don't know if that's a negative or not. I mean, this one was not pulled off the shelf much, but there might be some things in there that we didn't need to implement. And same with this plan here. So it's up to us on how we use the land use plan. So, but I appreciate that. Any other questions? Yes.
The question that I've been dealing with is, the last time that we met, I asked you a question, does this affect the entire county? Got the whole thing off the rails. So we were voting that night on a resolution that dealt with 3 to 15 acres, a wider road, and potable water.
Okay, that's what
That needs to be explained on why that resolution was before us.
Okay.
For a vote, that's where the questions go.
Okay, all right, and so that resolution that you're talking about, it had nothing to do with 3 to 15 acres. And that resolution, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was talking about if a property was in the planned growth area, which is on the east end of the county, if a property was in that and the owner of that property desired for that property to go from A1 zoning, which that lot size can go down to 1 acre, to R1 zoning, which the lot size goes down to 30,000, it goes smaller. And there are more things that are allowed in that R1 zone. It was just for that area of the county, because in order, the way the green book spells it out is to go from, the only way you can go to R1 zoning is you have to be in the planned growth area. I mean, that might be bullet point number 1 even. And so it has to be, it's only we're talking about in that area. And so, but that resolution stated that if a property wants to go from A1 to R1 in that area, the road had to be a minimum of 30 feet, and it had to have potable water. Am I missing is there anything else on that resolution besides that? And so it had nothing to do with the 3 to 15 acres. And that's where because I got a few emails and it did not make sense at all. It had nothing to do with changing agriculture zoning to 3 to 15 acres. It had nothing to, but that's what that resolution's about. Is that?
As long as I understand.
Okay.
So
I would look
All right,
at,
hold on, we gotta work here, and then I'm gonna take questions from anybody that has a question when we finish with the county, when we go through the land use plan, and I got nothing else tonight, I can be here all night. I will field any question that there is, when we get through, but I have a feeling that most questions are gonna be answered, like, through this discussion. So, Mr. Brayberry?
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure I understand right. The resolution that Commissioner Collins was talking about is just in the blue, is the blue corner.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Right, and it's, I hope we're okay, because that resolution, that really has nothing to do with the future land use plan at all, but,
When it was confusion, I was just looking
Sure.
to clear it up, sir.
Sure, yeah, that's right, yeah, and I appreciate that, but yeah, that's all that resolution. It was infrastructure going R1 can only be in the blue corner, what we call it, that's the east end of the county, that's the planned growth there, and there's this map is not, I think it's in the appendix where that is, so there's a copy of that map, so, okay. All right. All right, section 1. All right, section 1, that on that page 4, down there in the blue part, I think that's pretty key information. Okay, it talks about that the state suggests that we update the land use plan every 20 years. I think that makes common sense. Things change. It also states in there that from what the state handed down is that we should be looking at the land use plan more frequently than just every 20 years. I wish we would have done that, but we haven't. Maybe we can do a better job of that in the future as things change. The purpose of it provides an opportunity for the county to periodically assess its existing trends and dynamics, understand its current growth trajectory, and establish a preferred vision for the growth over 20-year planning period. That's the purpose of it, for us to project over the next 20 years what our trends are telling us where we want to be. The next page, there's the map of Hickman County. On page 6, there's some terms, and this is coming from the current plan that we're working off of it. I've called it the old plan, but you've got things that were described in there with the rural areas, the crossroad communities. Like I said, that was in the old plan. We never implemented that. The Centerville urban growth boundary, that is the area that is around Centerville. That's where Centerville can possibly expand to, or they can annex. And I'll say this, well, let me just stop for a minute. I have been on the planning commission, I guess, 3 years now, maybe. I have learned a ton. I've learned so much. I still am not an expert on this. There's probably going to be a question tonight that I don't know the answer to. There's terms that I had to learn. I don't expect somebody that doesn't do this for a living every day to be an expert in this. And so if there are questions, it might take a minute for us to get on the same page using the same language. This stuff is very detailed. This book is thick. And so I don't expect everybody that's in Hickman County to know all of our zoning, all the zoning requirements. I mean, that's why we have an office. And so I do understand that this can be confusing, that it can be a lot, and I do understand that. And I don't want to. You get up here, you get talking, and you skip over something not on purpose. And so if I say something that doesn't sound right or whatever, stop me. I'll go back. But I understand that. I mean, when I picked this up 3 years ago, I was like, whoa. And I still don't know everything there is to know, so I understand that. But the Centerville urban growth boundary, and there's a map that's in your plan. That part is the defined where Centerville could possibly annex. Now, the planning commission that I chair, we have no jurisdiction inside the city limits of Centerville. Okay? We have no jurisdiction. The county does not have that at all. We have everything outside of Centerville. So that urban growth boundary is an area that's outside the city limits that we have to take care of, but we will have to work with Centerville because they could possibly annex that. Now, Centerville is working on they're updating their land use plan, and when they update their land use plan, we'll update ours to show how the map changes or if there's some language or whatever. But we have to work with Centerville when it comes to whatever zoning is in that area, so that we don't do anything that would hurt them or to impede them annexing or change that or whatever. And so I'm probably not explaining that real well, but just know that when we get to the map, I think it's in the orange area, is that we have to work with the city of Centerville on that because they could possibly annex that. And we cannot change our planned growth area unless we are working with them, because, and I think this reason why the state has it like this, in most areas, like you take Murray County, Columbia is gonna have an urban growth boundary, and part of that boundary is probably their planned growth area. And so, like, in most areas, it overlaps. In our area, where we're growing is on the east end of not around Centerville. And so that's why I mean, there probably is other counties that are like that, but that's why, and it can cause a little confusion. How did I do on that? Does that make sense? Okay. All right, because it's kind of, we're supposed to work with them, if all, and how that is zoned in there and changes that are in there. In the past, we probably, just because it hasn't been an issue, we haven't done the best job, that should improve going forward. But when they update their land use plan, obviously, it's gonna affect how our boundary is written in ours, and so we'll have to change it then. But,
Oh, I got an important question.
sure.
Can we get the air conditioner turned off?
Okay, it was hot when I walked in.
Is everybody okay? I don't know if it'll start snowing.
Whatever.
They were burning up.
Yeah, it was, I walked in, they were having court and Amy was cooking them, but.
I know it's close to Christmas. There you go. Thank you. You'll be hot for me.
Okay. All right, page 7. The land use plan offers communities an invaluable opportunity to assess their needs, articulate their vision of the future. The plan and the document are intended to update the future land use plan for the county with an understanding of Hickman County's current conditions, growth pressures, desire for rural development pattern, and preservation of natural resources. Process undertaken as part of the development of this report, including ongoing and frequent engagement with the County Planning Commission, in-person, online community engagement opportunities, revised a place type development, and finally, the establishment of a revised future land use plan to guide development in the future. That's updating the plan. That next page, page 8, right there to the right, it says, what I talked about earlier, the Hickman County land use plan does not formally update the existing growth plan. It does, however, provide a clear direction to town and community leaders as needed, extent of an updated growth area when the growth is formally updated. And then it talks there about how at the time Centerville is working on theirs, and we'll work with them when they get that finished up. Any questions about the urban growth boundary around Centerville or the planned growth area that's in east?
Are you gonna go into more detail about the planned growth area that's in the east?
Yes, we'll get to that in, yes, yeah. The process is outlined on page 10. It was a 5-step process. There was a lot of data that was gathered. We got information from, I say we, Grisham Smith, our planning office, got them information about where water lines are, sewer line. We worked with Meriwether Lewis, District Dixon Electric, Centerville Water, Bon Aqua on getting all the infrastructure. They pulled census data, trends, and you'll see that, it's in the appendix. But that was kind of the first step. And then the step number 2, the vision, like establishing common interest. And then the third part was listening to the community. The community was engaged over 2 rounds. The feedback received directly guided plan development. We had 8 total public engagement meetings, 4 different spots. East, Pinewood, here, Shady Grove, and we'll get to that here in a minute too. And then the putting together the document, they pulled all that together. They pulled the public input. They were at several planning commission meetings where we had public hearings. They pulled all of that, and then we got the document that we have in front of us. All right, that's section 1. Yes, sir.
Can you have an explanation of why the blue area and why the red area?
Yes, because this is from the old. That's from this map is what we're currently working off of, the one that was adopted in 08, and then this is their suggestion.
Okay.
All right.
It's all safely good.
Sure. Yes.
The planned growth area is not part of the land use plan. They're two separate things. They both have to do with planning and zoning. But the one map that you saw there, Wayne, with the blue corner in it, that is the planned growth area and the growth area around Centerville. What you see there, it is how we wanna treat that growth area in the land use plan going forward. The land use plan has a boundary to it. Those boundaries are very similar to what the bus routes at the schools at East are.
I just asked a question since it's all stapled together.
Oh, sure, well, and it's, I don't think you could create a document, the land use plan, without a discussion of it's not, this is not gonna change it, but I think that it has to be mentioned and talked about it. That's probably the best way to say it, how you said, is that it's.
Well, the growth area comes out of the tiny town law that the state passed several years ago on what it takes to lead up to being a city. Centerville has to make it their urban growth boundaries. They can't just blindly go out and annex property unless it's first that. And the same thing up at the Bon Aqua end of the county. That blue corner is the planned growth area where we're anticipating growth. What we're looking at with the reds and the yellows on it is how inside of that planned growth area, it's a boundary. It's most of its importance is it sets a boundary of the area we see growing up there. I think that's what a little bit of the problem has been. It's the terminology, and a lot of people aren't quite up to speed on the terminology. And they may or may not confuse one with the other.
I think that's where some of the confusion has come from. So when you restrict the Bon Aqua area, and that's because of growth, and we realize that, well, the plan is forcing us to look at it and go, okay, you said 30,000 square foot, there's an option that you could go down to 15,000 square feet to build in that area. Now, I think everybody understands that. That's there, the utilities are there, the roads are there, the growth is coming. So when you explain that, you need to really, really separate what your goal is for that compared to the rest of the county. Because when you look at the rest of the county, that's where everybody's upset at. They understand that they're gonna get the small lots in the yellow area. But what I think everybody in this room here wants to hear tonight is what happens to the rest of us? So if there's more to explain about the Bon Aqua area, and that's why I asked you that a while ago, I understand the tiny town thing, that was the whole incorporated. If we'd been incorporated, we'd been in a whole different area here tonight. But you really, really have to make sure that everybody in this room understands that yellow area is we're trying to ask everybody to live right there. You move in, we want you here. If you move out, you're gonna follow a whole different set of rules, correct?
That's not exactly right, because.
Well, that's the way it's been explained. I mean, that's what everybody in this room is understanding. You see the head shaking? I've been talking to these people. I've made look like an idiot last time I asked this question and we didn't answer it. Tonight, we have got to answer who is gonna be limited between 3 and 15 acres. Is that right, Ricky? Because when you look at it, it's the western end of the county that will affect.
That's right. Okay.
That's what these people want to know. So.
Okay, so, and if we could,
Yeah.
we will get there.
Just get to it, because we're hitting it a lot of places and, yeah, I think these people, they're good enough to be here at 5
Okay.
o'clock.
Alright, okay, but, to me, the land use plan, and this is what the meeting was called for, is it's a guide going forward. And I know everybody jumps to that back page about the implement, I understand it, but like, I think, to me, when you go to, yeah, give me a minute, because I'll jump over it, because it's like that, we read the first page and the last page. And here, just bear with me a minute.
Hey, we're just, hey, you take your time, you've got
All
it
right,
laid out,
so-
I know how it is to teach, and go from it. Just make sure that there's a lot, understand there's a lot of questions that we're talking about.
Okay.
Make sure you cover it.
All right, and I don't really, I hate to skip over this.
Don't skip over it.
Okay, all right.
You got a way to explain it, keep going.
All right, okay, good deal. All right, so when we get to section 2, okay? Get to section 2, it lays out the infrastructure, it lays out the trends, and it lays off, there's some terms that are pretty important, okay? That's talked about on page 12. Because I think it takes going through the whole plan to get the full understanding. Because a lot of these maps were generated off of the infrastructure. They're generated off infrastructure maps and the maps that were used in the community engagement. When you get to section 4, okay, and I hate to jump over section 3, that was the community outreach and engagement. But when you get to section 4, to me, this is the most important part of the plan. But if we do not agree on the guiding principles on 24 and 25, and even get into 26, those 3 pages, then like we've got to hash that out. Like we've got to have discussion, because like to me, in a plan, everybody's got to have the same goal, and then we can later on figure out how to get there. But that to me, this is it, okay? And so the guiding principles. Now this came from the public engagement periods, it came from the survey results, it came from the public comments, okay? Number 1, protection of natural resources. Number 2, maintain sense of community and character. Number 3, viable agriculture. Number 4, expansion of infrastructure. Rural preservation. Increased housing options. Economic development. After all the work, that's what Grisham Smith pulled as the guiding principles. And then you can click over to that next page there, 26, and it has the goals. Preserve Hickman County pristine rivers, creeks, tree canopy, and cave network. Maintain a rural sense of place. Maintain agriculture as the dominant land use in the county. Accommodate growth through a conservation approach. Develop housing options that service community members throughout one's lifespan and economic status. Increase tourism, high-paying jobs, sales tax revenue. Expand sewer alternatives, water coverage to meet growing demand in Northeast Hickman. Expand grocery hardware store availability, diversify shopping options, and increase access to community recreation centers. Grisham Smith felt like that after they talked to the people of Hickman County, that was the guiding principles. To me, that's what, like, we've got to, if we're going to keep that in mind as we make changes, or we don't make changes. That's, to me, this is the most important part, and if we cannot, if y'all disagree with this, this is where we need to have the discussion. Because this, if these are not the guiding principles, then we've got to fix this before we can figure out if there's anything that we want to change anywhere in the county. Yes, sir.
Got a question. Is there a sense of difference between the red areas and one map that's all attached? You explained that the blue part was the.
We're going to talk about the guiding principles and the goals, I promise. This was one of the scenarios that they put forth. This is the sample board of round 2. This was a sample board. Yeah. commissioners, are we all good on, I don't wanna, I'm not trying to rush you, but we need to. I mean, it's, and the people that I talked to, the public comments, I was able to make it to 7 of 8 of the public engagement meetings, and I think Christian Smith did a really good job. Like, I mean, that was, that's the conversations, what people put on the boards, I think they hit the goals and the guiding principles pretty well. I probably would have worded some of them a little bit different, maybe done a little bit different, but I think overall they did a pretty good job. That's my personal opinion as commissioner. Are we ready to move on? Okay, all right, then if you will go to page 36. All right, those, the two bottom paragraphs, they need to be understood before we jump into the map. The future land use map is not a zoning proposal and does not determine what will happen to a single parcel. It merely provides guidance for how land could be used in the future, subject to infrastructure availability and market conditions. Directly informed by residents' values and goals, future land use planning guides where the future development and redevelopment should occur. The future land use map should be referenced along with the zoning codes and maps, and when development applications come before regulatory legislative bodies, the future land use map provides assistance when considering the rezoning applications. That's what I was talking about earlier, is that this is, it's not gonna change, that map is not gonna change any zoning of any single parcel, okay? But it does need to be used, when a county commissioner comes and says, I would like to change to a agricultural zoning of 20 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, then we need to pull this off, and we need to see if it lines up with the goals and the important facts. That's what we need to do. That's to me is what those two paragraphs say, is that when it comes out of planning and zoning, if a planning commission comes up with a change, if we adopt this on Monday night, we need to pull it off the shelf and say, this is what the people said, this is where our trends are. Does it line up with those, with the goals that we have and the keys that our community put forth? That's the design of it. Okay, so that needs to be understood before we go to page 37 on the map, okay? Because it's, so, the future land use map that is on page 37 has, what is that, 5, 10, it has 10 different types, okay? 10 different types, the place types, okay? Now, currently, how many zoning, does anybody know how much, how many different types of zoning that we have?
7.
7, okay, all right, you know what they are? Little quiz
I'm
time.
looking at them right here.
Okay.
A1, C1, C2, I1, I2, R1, R2.
Okay, so we've got A1, which is agriculture zoning, minimum lot size 1 acre. Okay, R1, that goes down to the 30,000 feet, you can go smaller with R2, but the key to going to R2 is? Gotta have sewer, okay? Now I am not as well versed on the commercials, the details, but and then we have an industrial zoning as well. So that is our current zoning, okay? Now, that is, everybody wants to cross these or whatever, I don't know how best to say it on this map, and if we were to take this map and to change this map into all of those, if we were to adopt all of these, the previous pages there, the amount of work that would be, it would be unreal coming out of the planning commission. I mean, we're looking at the map and drawing lines and, I mean, that discussion would take, I mean, it'd be a ton of work to change, to change all of that. And so, that's why that I take this right here, what Grisham Smith has put together, and it comes off the infrastructure is what it comes off of. That's how they got those, but it's their suggestions, those place types and the lot size of those place types, which everybody is, that's where all the attention is. It's their suggestions for us to meet those goals of the preserving pristine agriculture, all of that, and then where we can reduce the lot sizes in the yellow part of the map on east to encourage the housing and the growth and all of that. So, and I may not be doing the best job. Anybody else if anybody wants to jump in that's been on the planning commission or on their staff, does that make sense?
I've got a question. Casey, do we ever upload this to the county website? Is it on, this map, ladies and gentlemen, is you can look at a digital version. Casey, can you tell them where they looked that at? All of this is online.
Yeah, it's just on our county, Hickman County TN website, Hickman County Gov.
We are on page 37 if you want to look. And it is future land use map. If you've got your phones with you, you want to go to that.
All right, so the next page, 38, implementation, okay? This is the top of 38. The Hickman County Future Land Use Plan serves as a guide to inform future land use decisions, including general development patterns, preferences, regulations, types, and intensities of development and rezoning considerations, okay? This is the, the implementation part, and I'll go back to the original. You gotta remember that there are some things in this, on the implementation of the current plan, that we never put in as the law. That's probably not the correct term, but we never changed our zoning to match this for whatever reason. What needed, it was the county commission disagreed with it or didn't get to it or whatever. And so it's the same with this section 5, is that it's got to be implemented. I mean, it's got to be passed by the county commission by a resolution to amend to make it to this green book. You can look, they have the cross-references of the suggestions that they made, and how on our zoning, they've got, they made suggestions, and I'm glad they did. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with, me personally, as a county commissioner, as a resident of Hickman County, I don't agree with all of them, but they do this for a living, and I appreciated their input, and so, I think it's gonna spark some pretty good discussion going forward. But it's, and you got something, Austin? Oh, sorry.
What do you think the logic was from suggesting the 3 to 5 acres? If a man's got a farm, say 100 acres, and they make him cut out 3 to 5 acres to give to a child, that's knocking him out of agricultural land. I don't understand that, and I don't agree with it.
Okay, yeah, okay, so, I will, and they're not here, but, the discussions that, because what that question was asking plain and simple. The first thing is when you look at that, when you go look at the map, that's on page 37, I think you need to keep in mind, and again, this is a lot of what we talked about in our planning commission meetings, is that it makes good common sense for a county to manage the growth where the infrastructure is. Probably the best example in our county is, the Hidden Valley Lakes. And nothing against people who live in Hidden Valley Lakes, but that is a development, and it was done before planning and zoning, okay? So, no fault of anybody on the county, but that development was done, before planning and zoning, and so it was allowed, and it's an intense development, meaning like the density is really high. There's a lot of people live in a small area, but it's not close to anything. It's not the roads, not great on the traffic side. It's been a problem. The school systems had to adapt. Police, we know EMS we tried to adapt to fix that problem. And so, I think the thought behind it is that you need to encourage the density where the infrastructure is. Now, I talked to several people in other counties, and the question that I asked them was, I got a friend that's in Murray County. I said, what mistakes have Murray County made? I don't want to make, if somebody else has made a mistake in another county on this, we don't need to repeat it. And they said this, they said what they said, and they said Wicks County has the same problem, is that the development was allowed to go anywhere. So there's 2-lane roads that cannot handle the traffic. They were chasing developments with schools. There would be a 180 house development that would be the next thing you know, there's one that's right next to it. Now they're building a school. And what they realized is that because of their zoning, they were not funneling the development close to their municipalities. That's where their infrastructure is. And I see that because the Hidden Valley, nothing against those people, but where Hidden Valley is, it's not close to anything, it's not around anything. And so that's the thought. And one of the ways that you do it is you do not allow the lot sizes to be as small. And the thought behind that is in east, where the infrastructure, that's where most of our infrastructure is. That's why the suggestion was to cut the lot. And you'll see their suggestion is to take the lot smaller than what even we have there. But that's just their suggestion. But so that's one of the thoughts behind it. Now, probably the biggest thing that I've learned, me personally, that since I've been on the planning commission, is that there is no easy fix to anything. It seems like there's always okay, so that maybe, there might be something that, hey, we've got a problem, and, it's 90%, but there's always some give and take to it. And so, the part about not being able to divide off a 1 acre for a family member, whatever, yeah, that's the negative of the recommendation that they're making. I completely see that. But the thought behind it is that one of the guiding principles of Hickman County is the preservation of the rural, all of that. And so there's going to be certain areas of the county that the density is not going to be able to go very small. Now, that's going to be for us to take up, because right now, if you're not in east where you are R1 or R2, or the commercial zoning, I guess, everything else is A1. And so everything else you can go down to 1 acre. And so we're gonna have to decide if we need to change that in some of the counties. We're gonna have to make that decision. But I think that's the thought behind it. And where they got the idea is other counties are doing it. There's other counties that have implemented the zoning to where the density, there's I want to say it's might be what's county's Hendersonville, or yeah, that they've got. And well, I may be wrong, but there's an A15, A10, A5, and an A1. And it depends on what the size of the road that it's on. It depends on how close that it is, proximity to their towns. And that makes sense to me, but there's definitely some negatives to it. If we're gonna have to decide if we need to make that change to and add more agricultural zoning or whatever.
We'll keep messing with the farmers, we're all gonna get hungry one of these
That's right.
And I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it.
Well, okay, so,
Claude,
yeah,
I mean, Ricky, let me try to drive, I mean, I understand what you're saying. So, I mean, this has really been kind of weird as we've all gone through this. The old land use plan, the one that we're currently under, I think everybody thinks that that set 1 acre. It did not. The old land use plan actually refers to, in one of the paragraphs, that 1 acre was set by the planning and zoning regulations. But it does not in any way set the density as an acreage. In fact, all of the old place types look at each one of those densities are referred to in a narrative form. Low density, that's exactly what it says, but low density is whatever, I guess, what anybody wants to think low density is. And as you march through the old plan, there's never an attachment of one of those narrative, moderate density, higher density. It never qualifies that with a quantitative number. I'm not sure, actually, now, in hindsight being 2020, I think it was not probably in our best interest for those guys to have even done what they did. I mean, we can take that out. But at the end, the old land use plan does not say 1 acre. This land use plan, even though it gives a number that's associated with that description, it's not gonna turn around and dictate that number. There's only one number right now in this county, and no matter what we do, outside of the planned growth area, and even within the planned growth area, every piece of parcel, unless it's already been rezoned, is A1 and it's 1 acre. And I personally have no idea how even to begin to write a resolution that just says, oh, this whole area over there is gonna be something different. I mean, it would be almost, I don't know how to do it. It would be impossible for me to even think about it. But at the end of the day, if that's a concern,
What you're afraid of is that it'll get into politics, and the ones that, are buddies, they'll let them go, and the other ones.
but right now it says low density, and we've got 1 acre. And at the end of the day, it's, if it still says low density, it's still gonna be 1 acre tomorrow, whether we pass, whatever we do. And if we wanna change that, if somebody wants to change that, then it's gonna have to be done by some form of a resolution. And let me make sure there's 14 county commissioners, and there's one here, not here tonight, but there's 14 county commissioners. If you think that that's a concern, Ricky, and I'm not disagreeing with you, if you think that's a concern, then let's just write a resolution that says you can't do that. Because just the same resolution that can tell you this is what you're gonna do, you can write a resolution that says you can't do that. And so,
I'll have to think about that.
no, again, I wanna make sure that everybody understands. The wheels are right here. You have all the tools at your disposal. And there's a regulation right now called zoning regulation, and under A1 it says the minimum acreage is 1 acre unless there's already a lot smaller than that at the time of the passage of the resolution. And and they can still build a single family home in it. When this is all said and done, if we pass this, it's still gonna be saying exactly the same thing. And if there's a fear that somewhere down the road, somebody's gonna come in and do something contrary to what that says,
I think that's what they're like.
then a resolution can be written and make it where you can't do
We may
that.
have to talk about that.
Yeah, okay. But if this passes, none of that changes. And the old plan did not set 1 acre. It just refers to it. It's all loaded. And so I think the Gresham Smith guys, in order to get more clarity, they were trying to sit there and say, and it doesn't, I don't have it, let me see it right here. It doesn't say that it is something, it just says it's typically something like that. And I think they were just trying to put a little more flesh on the bones of what low density is, the same thing they did with moderate density, same thing they did with high density. So, again, I think we kind of got wrapped around the axles on something that's not as relative, I think, because again, somebody's about to make a right resolution, and it's tough. Yeah, I understand, and I just want to make sure that I explain it to you, because you need to understand that.
I'm glad you did, I won't know.
And Todd, let me say this, the planned growth area that we are operating under now, if we pass this land use plan, will not change.
Oh, I understand that.
The urban growth boundary that is currently in the plan, that's set by Centerville, is only gonna change if Centerville decides to change their urban growth boundary. I mean, and we're just gonna reflect that in the plan.
We're not the ones that got the fence, so folks out there.
No, I understand, but I need to make sure that you understand it, because I felt like there was a question.
I
Sure,
understand.
okay.
Just, all right, so you're talking about, what, protecting farmers?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so, and I probably shouldn't even ask this, because this is way down the road discussion. What's a way that we can do that? What's a way that we can preserve, let me go back to those, you know, like what you said, but what is that, do you have a solution?
Well, my personal opinion, if a man's got an acre of land, and he can get electricity, water, and everything he needs, he should be able to deed that and put a house on it.
Okay?
That's the way I see it.
And it's, and that's how it is right now. That's how it is right now. And and it doesn't matter what happens on Monday night, that's how it's gonna stay, because there was not a resolution in our packet that we got today. It's gonna check, you know, so it's gonna stay that on Monday night. So, and this is, I want all of y'all to start thinking about this, because down the road, these discussions are gonna have to happen, is like the Pinewood Surf Park. The Pinewood Surf Park, the 1 acre, like, they could have built the Pinewood Surf Park. Like, if they could have got water, they'd be halfway through finishing Pinewood Surf. And I didn't know anybody in that community that wanted that. But I guess what I'm saying is that I understand what you're saying, because, you know, yes, if you can get water and you get electricity, you got an acre, you know, you
But I
build a
thought
house.
the zoning had to be changed, was it not agriculture going to?
No, it was agriculture zoning, but our agriculture zoning says that you can go down to a minimum one acre.
But it's still actually a commercial.
No, they could have gone in and built that. The only reason why that the Pinewood Surf Park is not being built right now is that when they came to the planning commission, they could not confirm their water. That's, when you go to our subdivision, that's in this right here, like, there's checks that they have to, and if they would get all their checks, they're building. And I might be wrong with the number, but the Dixon Water Authority said 25 million. You go a couple counties over, there's some developers that'll make that happen. And so, I'm just choosing that as an illustration, like the give and take, you know. And I'll say, there's some other things that are out there. There's some counties that have, the agriculture zoning is 10 acres or 5 acres. Well, there's a family subdivision clause that's in there. You have to meet certain criteria. It's gotta stay in the family X number of years or whatever. Now, there's some negatives to that too. Okay, but there's some things that would need to be kicked around. It's not an easy 3-minute conversation.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. I farm. You know that. I understand completely, and also the dividing off the 1 acre. I get that. But right now, that's how you can. But there are some things that can happen in our county because the minimum lot size is 1 acre. And so, that subdivision could have been built. It was, they were gonna put, I can't even remember how many houses it was now that they were gonna, but they couldn't get all, and I think that when all that was going on, a lot of people did not understand that the planning commission, we have to follow, and I know this is county commission, but planning commission, we have to follow this, we have no deviation. And so if they would have done everything we asked them to do here, they're building. And so, but that's where the lot size of 1 acre, but I think there might be some ways around it. And I've called other counties and tried to, hey, we're trying to preserve, take care of the farms, but we feel like we're limiting some of the owners in doing that. How are y'all making that work? And so, but I I mean, I don't have a great answer right now, but I mean, I've kind of looked into all of that, so. All right, sorry, Matthew.
Wasn't there a motion in the planning commission to take out the acreage and it failed on the agricultural preservation?
Yes, and I would, I mean, you talk about just taking the numbers out?
Yeah, taking the
Yeah,
numbers.
hey, and look, yeah, that can be done Monday night. Like, that can be done on, this is y'all's plan. I mean, so that could be done, and I, procedure-wise, I would assume if we change it, county commission change it, we just kick it back to the planning commission, and, I mean, is that not how that would work, or?
If on Monday night, this body changes that, then it's adopted as it is. It doesn't
I think-
require.
And I'm, okay.
And I'm not meaning to step on anybody, but I think that right there, we've just touched on this is not an exercise of the planning committee. Never was intended to be. This is an exercise of legislative body.
Well, I should've
Unfortunately,
made the
there's only been
chairman
3
stand up here
people
then.
that had a lot of input into it. For the year that you and I have said at every county court meeting, y'all need to show up at the planning committee and bring your input. We didn't get a lot of that. It was on the, agenda every month that the planning committee met. Because we would usually, adjust the agenda when nobody showed up to skip over the talk of the land use plan. This is not the planning committee. I think a lot of people have taken, commissioners have taken that approach to it, that's not the planning committee's doing. There's a few of us, there's 3 or 4 of you that never endured the old committee system. It was adversarial at its best. And if you weren't on solid waste, you didn't care what solid waste was doing. And a lot of people wouldn't serve on the budget committee, therefore they would not have to care what the budget was doing. Now that we do it where all 14 of us are on those, with the exception of the planning committee and solid waste, because the resolutions that created those 2 entities spelled out what's on it, we didn't want to amend the resolution. A lot of commissioners have chose to, this question was going to be asked on this. And every one of these commissioners up here have been asked a question that they were ready for. Devin's asked the question a bunch of times. You've all done it. Do you take this woman? Not a one of you considered that at the time that man asked you that question. You had already made your mind up. You already knew. But here we sit, a year into this thing, and I get the feeling that virtually no county commissioners are ready to vote. The Monday night, Casey's gonna ask you, do you take this woman? And right now, I don't think you know, because we've got a year in it.
Because the woman isn't ready.
It ain't gonna go first.
If the plan isn't ready, why mandate a vote on time?
I agree.
Take the time, do it right.
I'm sorry. If you keep talking, I'm gonna ask you to leave, okay? That's simple. All right?
I understand. I will voluntarily leave because I don't
There we go.
give myself the ability to restrain.
All right, did you have another question? Okay. Yes, sir.
I did come to 2 or 3 of them. The people still saying what the people were saying at them 2 or 3 of them. I thought everybody knew what they were unhappy with. I apologize for not making that clear, but they unhappy with the acreage size. That's what they're yelling and screaming about. Now we all know. I yield.
I want to say this, I've asked questions here tonight, I have studied this, and I've talked to several before, I understand where it's at. But, you guys wanted the questions asked, I asked the questions, so here is where I stand, where I am. The county commission can say yes to a no planning commission suggestion. County commissions can say no to a yes, we can do whatever we want to. We are the final one here, so set all the planning commission aside, let's put that here because it does fall on this 14. There are 25,000, these are rough numbers, 25,000 people in Hickman County, There's 12,000 in Lewis, and there's about 9,000 change in Perry County. What we are doing with this is looking at the fact that we're gonna get bigger. We're not even close to what we think. You look at Lewis County and go, oh, they got everything. Well, they may have everything, but they got half the people that we have. Got over, and Mark was here, you can tell me, maybe somebody else might know, we got over 800 miles of dirt road. Almost 900 miles of dirt road in this county. So as the 14 that sit here, we look at this. When we ask the deputy, the sheriff, the EMS, the fire departments, and all this to respond to these people, this is why the planning was put together, right? I understand that, and I want everybody in the room to understand the reason this happened, because we have to look down the road. The road width, the water, all of that has to fall within that to keep us from falling into, there's roads that are county roads that we cannot get our $300,000 ambulances down without knocking the lights out of them and tearing the signs off the side. Part of that is part of this. But I do want to say this. I think the people have spoken on what the problem is, and Keith, you said it a while ago, and if that's the case, we need to adjust that and look at it. But we all need to remember, whatever we say here tonight, there's 14 that could come along in 4 years and take any of this and do whatever they want to do with it, because we have the opportunity, we have the power to do that. Sure. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. You need to make sure that those that your elected officials know by Monday what you want and how you want it. And I think we need to consider what has been brought up here. Reed's got a good point. We all do, but I want everybody in this room to understand that our job as 14 people is safety first. Your safety, your health is our first priority. And then this is a big part of why we're looking at this and how we handle this. So we got to make some adjustments to keep landowners happy, but down when it all comes down to it, this growth plan makes it affordable for us to live here. Because if we keep letting it run unchecked, we won't be able to afford to pay our property taxes to take care of the things that spread out and letting people do what they want to do. And I'm not talking about dividing your property and giving it to your children. There are people taking advantage of this that are coming in here and building things that we can't afford to maintain. We don't have we don't have the sheriff department to take care of it. We cannot get ambulances to it. We're having that problem now, people waiting without getting an ambulance. That is why we should be here, and I agree with what Keith said. If that's the issue, and we need to remove it, we need to get together, I'll get together with you, and I'll be glad to write a resolution to do that. But the land use really needs to come down to what can we afford to allow people to do to us that are coming in here to make money off of us. That's the focus, I think, of the land use plan, was it not? I hope everybody understands that. So please voice your opinion about the 3 here's what you want, but the rest of it is looking at how to take care of the people who live here, be able to give us the best with what we can afford and still be able to have what we own. So.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I want to echo what Todd said. You know, I don't think we should write a land use plan for who may come.
Yeah.
I don't think we should write a land use plan for helping somebody to help somebody come. What we need to do is write a land use plan that's reflective of the values of the folks that are here in the county now. And I think we really got sideways on this acreage thing because overall, that's exactly what this land use plan does. It takes care of the people that are here. And it has to be done that way in order to ensure that, to Todd's point, that we have to pay these bills. And those counties that are around us, the ones that we all look at and go, boy, they're really busting. Look at their property tax per person. You don't want to move there. Look at the debt per person in these other counties compared to us. Folks, you don't want to move there. And they're doing it primarily because their infrastructure is trying to chase development that people are letting go unbridled. And I'm not even saying that this is what this document does, but that's the goal of the county commissioners has got to be to keep the growth constrained. not limited, not promote it, but just to manage it as it's starting to come to us, because the private sector is who does the growth. It's not us. And so, but we have a responsibility to make sure that as those folks come in here that are gonna make a dime or a dollar or a lot of money, that those are the folks that the cost of the infrastructure shifted to, not the existing taxpayer. And anybody who says that growth is gonna lead to lower property taxes paid by the per capita, come see me. There's not a study that agrees with that, and there's not a narrative of a county around it that echoes that. Not one whatsoever.
And I think that's why that, on that page 26, the goals, that's, to me, that's why, I mean, in my opinion, we all need to agree on that. Now, we can have discussions, I mean, we need to have discussions months later, years later, on how we make sure that that happens. But, I mean, to me, that's the key to it, is those goals. I mean, and the county needs to agree on that. And, I mean, because, I mean, when you start changing the acreage, I mean, that's gonna be done later anyways, and where that's done, if that's even the answer, that may not even be the answer. And it's, and I've been able to talk to a few people, and you know, that's, and always I like to have phone conversations. This is not a short, this can't be responded back in a short email, but I'm always asking, well, how do we, what he was talking about, but also, how do we hit these goals? Because everybody I've talked to has been in line with these goals, but so what do we do, just like what you were saying, is, and how do we make that work? And it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's not gonna be easy, but, I mean, to me, that's why if you don't align with those goals, then you should have a problem with the land use plan. But if you align with those goals, then, yeah, let's tweak whatever language you don't like other places. I don't care, do not care. Take the 3 to 15 out, take every number out, don't care. It does not bother me at all. I will vote for that. But if you disagree with these goals, I think then me personally as a Logan County Commissioner, because I think this hit the people I've talked to, public engagement, you run right down the line, they agree with most all of them, if not all of them. And so, I mean, that's, if the number's the problem, because all that's gonna be decided later, if we even change it. But it's, to me, we need to have the same, what's important, there needs to be consensus on what's important. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I did attend a couple of the meetings. They were good meetings. There was a lot of interaction with the folks that came. If you're a sitting county commissioner, you didn't go to one of them, shame on you, because you should have been there. That's all I gotta say about that. Randy, I asked him to pull the last 5 years of how many parcels were newly created that were less than 3 acre lots. In 21, there was 47, 22, there was 29, 23, there was 42, 24, there was 47, and 25, there was 38. So about 40 to 50 is what gets created on a yearly basis. When I look at this plan, there is, from the old plan to the new plan, I just did some rough estimates using Google and using maps. The old plan had about an 8% of the county as the growth area. If you looked at that blue corner, that's about what the percent of the county was 8%. The new plan has about 34%, but it also includes Centerville. If you take Centerville out, it's probably down to about 26%. So the growth area is definitely increasing in that regard. The 3 to 5, I've had several people reach out to me. I've had one person that was outside my district that said that they liked the plan when it was the 5 to 15. Everybody else has said, why make it 3? A septic system can go on an acre, drop it down to an acre. And it is my intent on Monday night to make a motion to drop that down to 1 to 15. And I think half of these people, if it passes, will be very satisfied. So, other than that, you know, there's a lot of, if you didn't read the appendix or didn't get the appendix has a lot of good information in there. A lot of people that are in the crowd said that this plan was junk, there's nothing they changed, they didn't do much. Read the appendix, there's a whole lot of information they put together, a whole lot of information. So I would encourage you to read the appendix and see what they did in order to create this plan. It is a good plan, just needs some final tweaks, and I think we can get it passed Monday night, so, that's all I had to say.
Why not just take the numbers out? Like, why you put the 115?
Yeah.
I mean, cause it was, you know, as a county commissioner, on the planning commission, I mean, you gotta understand, it's our choice whether we use this thing or not. But, I mean, why Corrales on that?
Well, the terms that they use is kind of interesting in the plan because it said, you know, the terms are allows, typical, target, generally. So it's very broad terms anyhow. So I you know, I would support that wholeheartedly, and I think most people here would.
Low density, high density. I mean, that's my thoughts on it, but. Yes, sir.
One of the things that some of the commissioners may or may not be aware of is that, and we've never been called on it, is if it's not in the land use plan, we can't pull it out of the air in planning and zoning.
On
Everything that we're talking about in this plan, if at some point in time, the big figure is we'll act on it in planning and zoning, the truth is, we can't act on it in planning and zoning if it's not in this plan. The one, I asked some of y'all to watch it, Wilson County was going through this. A couple people I encouraged to watch that series on Channel 2 that Wilson County was going through with their land use plan misunderstood it. They were trying to go to 2 acres. Their planning committee recommended and their legislative body passed a 2-acre minimum lot size in agricultural zoning. Judge turned it over. It wasn't in their land use plan to do something like that. It wasn't the man wanting to give his child an acre of land that took him to court. It was the real developers. We've not, to my knowledge, we've not had a developer show up in Hickman County yet. We got some people that have divided property, but the Surf Club was the closest thing to a developer that we had show up. Wilson County, then, it was time for them to do their land use plan. They went through all the steps of the land use plan and put 2-acre lots in there, and since have passed that and it will stand up. But it wasn't the residents, it wasn't the man wanting to give his son the acre. It was Radnor Homes, it was Syntex, it was those level developers that 25, 50, that's been $50 million to put a sewer line in. At what they'll make off the developments that they do, they're looking at us simply because we're all that's left. We're the last daughter the farmers got. Pretty or not, we're all there is left because Wilson County has stopped them over there, Sumner County, Rutherford County, that they had west last, and that's what we're looking at. Everybody's looking at this like, oh, you're not gonna let me give my child an acre, you're not gonna let me build on my 1-acre lot, and we've not talked about any of that. We're trying to get ready for when the guy shows up with a subdivision that will facilitate the need of building a school. Not just buying 5 or 6 buses, but you'll have to build a school. That's what we're looking at here. We can't just pull it out of there and say, we wanna do this. I agree with everything that was said here tonight. I just always want more participation from everybody to this. The densities without the numbers, I think will work fine. What you keep going back to in the intent of this, I think will stand up in front of any judge if we make some changes. and people couldn't figure out, well, why does Wilson County just wanna go to 2 acres? That doesn't change anything. That changes everything. They're backwards of us. It's the west of us, it's the east of them, but in there, the east is pretty good farmland. When the developers realized that they could only put a mailbox every 2 acres, the profit's gone, they leave. It demagnetized them, it quit drawing them. They can't make their project work on 2 acres. That's why we come up with the R2 zoning in the end of the county that has infrastructure, and then amended it the other night to not allow that R1 zoning where there isn't sufficient infrastructure. The intent of that R2 zoning, I'm a little off subject, but we're here to learn, might as well learn, was not to make up for a deficiency in geometry, topography, or anything like that. It was to, where the infrastructure was there, aid the developer somewhat in allowing him to put his mailboxes a little closer together. Thus his return was enough to get him to do the development, not to fix a cattywampus 4-acre lot where you can get 5 lots out of it. That wasn't the intent. It was the cost of the infrastructure to the developer. Instead of the taxpayer pay it, the developers, and the developers don't really pay for anything. I know that. I've been around that game quite a bit. The end user, the guy that buys a house, pays for all of it. But that's the developer's job to get him to pay for it. I don't want to be the one to have to vote for the taxpayers to pay for it. You know, I mentioned the water lines in here tonight that we voted on that amendment. It was said that we don't do infrastructure. Taxpayers don't do infrastructure. There's about $2.5 million worth of sewer lines in the ground up at East, and I've sat right here and watched this body give the town of Centerville $4 million to aid in its water. So we do pay for it, and that's why we do this, so that when we spend $6.5 million on infrastructure, and that's probably a drop in the bucket to what will be done over the next 10 years. In infrastructure, we have some idea that we're gonna have a return out of it. That's what's done here. There was nothing good old boy about this, that this was out of necessity. That there wasn't trying to help a friend or trying to discourage anything. And I'm going along with what Keith said. Yeah, we'll just take the numbers out of it, but the numbers will have to be replaced with some language that should the planning committee see the need to make adjustments in the future, there's something in the land use plan that developer wanting to do those 500 houses that we're trying to avoid, can't hire a real good lawyer and overturn it. Because if we don't reference it in here, we can't just reach into thin air and pull out a new zoning requirement if it hadn't in some way been referenced in here. That's the intent of how we always have wanted to do this. Yeah, and I hope that makes sense to at least 14 of you.
Yes, sir.
I may be wrong, but I think most everybody that's here tonight was here to hear the 4 words that most of you have said, and that's take the numbers out. I think, and I may be wrong, but I think if we decide to do that, and I'm with Steve, and I'll vote for that, take the numbers out, and then work from there. I think that so I represent District 6 Centerville, which is a little different deal. But even the people from my district, but I'm friendly with people from all over the county, that's consistently what I've heard this entire time. Is we got a bunch of stuff here, but they were concerned about what's here at the bottom of page 28, where it says 3 to 15 acres. I think that's a salve for a lot of hurt right now, is just to, and you just said it just a minute ago, let's just take the numbers out and work from there. I think I believe that would aid this process.
Taking the numbers out, and I'm fine with it, if that's what everybody thinks they need, but taking the numbers out alleviates no threat that's perceived because the number's in there. It's what Keith keeps talking, it's the whole process. I can't imagine how we would get to where some people have told me, this is gonna put us legislatively. I don't see any way that could be done. And I've sat around here and seen a lot of tricks, but there's.
What are you talking about, what do you mean on that?
Hmm?
Like what, about the, I don't understand what you're saying, like.
Well, there's, when I've talked to people, I don't know where they're getting their information. They're not getting it out of here, they're not getting it out of anything that was said in a planning meeting, but they're absolutely convinced about some things that it's gonna happen. If this land use plan passes, okay, well, we take the numbers out, but it will still say that green color will be low density. It won't be 3 to 15, it'll be low density. The rural preservation to me is the bigger part of this. But the houses where the infrastructure is already, or where the infrastructure can be expanded at a minimal charge. Don't go running a 10-inch water line off where there's no water and there's no road. But there's, in this, and I agree with Mr. Giannakis that there's a lot in this, that if you haven't read it, page 15, to me, that's one of the best maps in there. It's on page 15, the population trends. That'll hit you right in the face if you just look at it and think about it. The red area has declined by 25%. The blue area has increased by 25%. That's without the land use plan. It's already doing that. And there's several other maps and there's several other formations of data that Grissom Smith did a real good job on, that I hope at least the other 13 of y'all look at and digest in some way. Because it's just straight up data, it's not a whim. And I want to reiterate something that Claude said, and I've told several people this, on the surf club. There was nothing in that green book. Not one thing in that green book that stopped the surf club. There were a lot of signs put up saying stop the surf club. There was a meeting here set mostly at this table. I remember it because it was about $2,000 an hour worth of lawyers sitting around. When it was determined by the BZA that they could build a golf course. In my mind, it passed then. The only reason that, as you said, it's not getting built is their engineers did not produce a workable plan. There was never an opportunity for us to say, yeah, we support that, or no, we don't like that. It's much like the process on the beer permits. Do they meet the criteria? Yes or no? Not, do you want this to happen? If you don't want something like that to happen, you put it in this and you amend that green book so that it can't happen. You can't, I think it was a bad deal, not that it didn't happen, that the way it came down, we've got people believing that if we get mad enough and put enough signs up, we can stop it. The next one's gonna have a little more willpower and staying ability that you don't want, and you're gonna print your signs, and they're not gonna stop at a few $1 million worth of water. And do you want something like that in Pinewood instead of on the side of Highway 46? Do you want it in Pleasantville? What do you do with it? That's what we need to come out of this land use plan. We're not worrying about can you give a child an acre. But we'll have to give the whole farm away to pay for the utilities if we allow the sporadic growth that this is trying to get away from.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how to ask this question and it not be beating a dead horse, I guess. The 3 to 15, that's the way it was in the last one, am I correct? Help me see, if we didn't pull the numbers, how would, and I know it's gotta go in that book, how would that look? This farm is 3, this farm is 15, do you understand my question?
I don't, sorry.
How do you decipher between the acres?
How would it?
Okay, all right, yes, I understand what you're saying. Is, first off, I think it was, well, anyways, when the zoning changed and we were A1, nothing smaller than an acre, there were tracts that were in that area that were smaller than an acre, grandfathered in.
Correct,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So what, if somebody has, right now, okay, somebody has, let's say they have 4.2 acres and they are zoned agriculture and they are not in the blue corner, okay? So, and they want to, it's all along they got road frontage and they're gonna divide their property up and they're gonna sell it. What it says is that you can divide your property however you want to. Put the line by the oak, next to the creek, whatever. But however you divide it up, you cannot make a lot smaller than an acre.
Yes,
So if it is 0.9, then sorry, because right now, you can't go smaller than an acre. So the lots might be 1.5, 1.2, 1.1, whatever. But that's, like, we don't determine that. That's, I mean, like, we wouldn't tell them.
Until that parcel's spent.
No, like, they divide it, you could, sell off however you want to, pick your property line, whatever, however you want to. It just says that you can't go below an acre.
Correct.
So that, I mean, no, that's the 3 to 15, and I did not anticipate that question at all. The 3 to 15 is Grisham Smith going, hey, when they're trying to have areas of rural preservation, most people, they have a minimum lot size of 3 acres. Some of them go all the way to 15, and the 3 to 15 was, here's a suggestion. Y'all put it however you want to. So that was not how you're gonna divide your property. That's not for us to choose or anything. So
I'm seeing if I understand. That range, if it fit in that range, the landowner could choose.
No.
Okay.
We would have to set, if a change was made, we would have to set
A
the
number.
minimum lot size. We don't care, the county, however you wanna divide it, but you can't make a lot smaller than an acre.
Currently, in this other one.
Yeah.
Is 3 to 15, so.
Okay.
And I'm.
Planning will decide.
Fine, 3 to 15 is just a description of what they said low density is. It is not, I don't know.
Okay, all right. I understand where some of the problem was on social media now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't me.
No, I know that. You're asking the question. Okay, I got an email that said, if this passes, in order for me to build a house, I have to go to the planning commission, and you're gonna tell me how to divide my property, like 3 to 15, and like, I couldn't even get my head around it. But no, that is not what they are saying is a way that you, if you're trying to cut the density down, some areas have made a minimum lot size of 3. Some of them have done 8, 10, 12, 15, whatever. That was just their suggestion. We would decide the minimum lot size number. Right now, it's 1 acre.
Yes, sir.
And so their suggestion is, we suggest a range of like 3 to 15.
But that's what I'm having trouble with, is I don't understand, I understand what a range is.
We will never put a range in this book. We would say that it would be a minimum lot size of 5. Austin.
So that range, what it was supposed to do is it was supposed to give us an idea of what to set the minimum at. So some counties have chosen a minimum of 3 acres. Other counties have chosen a minimum of 15 acres. And it gave us that range to choose what we wanted to do as the minimum. Does that make more sense? So
Yes, I guess
if we wanted to vote to make the minimum 3 acres, anybody could split their land to a minimum of 3 acres. If we voted to make that minimum 10 acres, people could divide their land to a minimum of 10 acres. But that would be a uniform minimum over every single landowner.
Okay.
We would not have the ability to choose who would get 3 acres, who would get 15. Everybody would be allowed the same minimum, just like in our.
So it's not a moving target, it will be a set.
No, it was just like how in the, I think it's in the residential growth, it gives us a 1 acre to 0.5 acre. So in that, it's not saying this one person can have 1 acre, this one person can have 0.5 acres. It gives us an idea to set a uniform minimum over.
In all of the agricultural zone land in Hickman County, all of A1, wherever it is, it doesn't matter where it is, we have to, as the planning commission, we gotta treat everybody the same. And so it's written in there that it's, and I don't know why, that's just how it is, like it's written in here that your minimum lot size in agricultural zoning is 1 acre, that's how it is right now. And so if you live in Coble and you wanna divide your, or sell a piece of property and you try to go to 0.9 acres, it's not allowed in the current zoning. And so it would have to be above an acre. It could be 10, it could be 50, it could be 500, as long as that minimum, that's, and what they were saying was, you know, here's some ranges that other people have used, you know, y'all choose, y'all pick your number. You know, it's not the planning commission would not determine that. I mean, it's like we have to set, and when you read this, it has, the terminology is minimum setback of this amount, minimum lot size of this amount, minimum of this, minimum of this. So if you're over that, you're good. On our planning commission meetings, when the subdivision, and I know that's probably what we're talking about, when a subdivision comes in, that's one of the things that we look at. It is like, okay, so like a minor subdivision, you know, you have 5, you know, lots around, we look and go, oh, they're all over an acre. Yes, so we're good. And so that, it's a minimum, but that's, and I mean, I'm sorry that caused, I did not anticipate that would cause confusion, that it would be, the 3 to 15 was like, what, you know, we were gonna pick here and there and whatever. We would have to, if we took this and said, okay, we're gonna change the density of agricultural zonings, okay, and I'll give an example. Some counties, they have a 15, a 10, a 5, and a 1. What we would do is that there would be maps that would say, in this area, you cannot go below a lot size of 15 acres. This area is 10 acres, and then we put in there about how if you wanted to rezone it, to change it out of that A15 to an A1, there'd be a procedure there. But like we would have to define on the map where those areas are that have the minimum lot size, just like we do right now. Like you have agricultural zone, the A1 is most of the county. Okay, and you can only go down to, unless it's already grandfathered in, I mean, you got that, okay? And I know that's been put out there too, you know, but if it's not been granted, like you can divide your property down to, at minimum, an acre. Then, if you get into the blue, then you can go from A1 to R1, if it meets, there's criteria in there that it has to meet, but then you can go even smaller than an acre. There's a lot of R1 properties that are bigger than, I mean, it's not exactly 30,000 square feet. I mean, there's some R1s that are 2.5 acres or 2, whatever, you know, so it's just the minimum that they were talking, but we would set that actual specific number. It wouldn't be for us to decide. And I apologize, I think that might have been what you were talking about earlier, is about picking and choosing maybe whatever. No, we gotta be, we have to be consistent over all those, you know, whatever you're zoned. I mean, we can't, different rules for whatever. I mean, if it's that number, that minimum lot size is in that, that's what we have to go by. So, does that clear all that up? Does that make sense?
It painted a much better picture,
Okay.
sir.
So you're saying if it's, instead of it being 3 to 15, are you saying, and I'm just asking this question, because I thought I knew. So 3 to 15, in order for it to be in that, it has to be between 3 acres and a maximum of 15. Or are you saying that it could be, we choose what our minimum is, it could be 3, or it could be 15?
Or 4, or 5.
Or 4,
Yeah,
not a 3 to 15.
And I will, go ahead, Danielle.
That number needs to be set, we would set it.
Well,
Just
until
like-
8 people of this body change it, it's 1.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, right, you're talking about down the road.
Yeah, to answer Ron's question, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
1, right now, it's 1.
And if we chose, we would have to pick between, according to this number here, between that minimum being 3, or it could be 4, or it could be 15. But it would be one minimum number,
Yeah.
not a moving target.
No, Lord,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I wasn't the only one that was confused, was I?
We've been here an hour and 45 minutes. Could we take about a 10-minute recess and come back? Good break.
You're the chairman.
Thank you.
Good.
But It's a step up.
Same difference on the other side.
Hey, Steve, you know, the motion, on page F, I move, blah, 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 blah. On page, I suggest that everything after the word is removed. I think there's, 5 places? Yes. 7 numbers, 5 places, or 7 numbers, 4 places? I get a big.
Your phone is
But you know what? You're a great technical assistant. I was able to recover.
So, you see where it's red right here? That's community commercial. If I flip on the next page, it tells me about commercial, and what's allowed. What's not allowed is town residential, rural places, places. If somebody came right here at the corner, put in townhouse. The highlight is red, and I get the reason, but we need to be able to allow.
Right now, in plain growth areas, if you get that property zone to large areas, which I think is what you're looking at from town home, then you put it in there. I mean, that's the only thing we are saying is where in the past we were last, we're trying to yeah, I mean, in order to put the townhouse, we're going to have to go back into a zero lot line. I'm trying to get it. We're going to go ahead and get started.
It's chairman, I don't even.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my fault. We're going to bring, commissioners, we're going to bring the work session back in. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? And I'll say this, again, I'm not the expert, okay? But I do have the joy of chairing the planning commission. And like, this is gonna be up for vote on Monday. Call me. I mean, give me a call, I will talk as long as I have signal. And I mean, I don't mind it at all. I mean, there's nothing more that I enjoy talking about, than planning and zoning. So. Mr. Chairman, we ready for some, yes.
Now, you about to ask me something.
Oh, no, you're good, go ahead.
I just wanted to caution those folks in the audience that are here that you shouldn't get your news from social media, because most of those posts that I don't have Facebook or any of that, but most of those posts I've seen don't have proper information. If you want, Casey gave you the link to get to the counties, you got all your commissioners' phone numbers, but if it's on Facebook, don't mean it's true. So, and some of it is just blatant, out and out crazy. So just give that caution. If you're a Facebook user, a Facebook poster, think about that, you know, before you start, you know, I've got to have my driveway paved if this passes. That's not right, you know. So, just one caution, that's all I can add on that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we ready for the questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, you said that there'd have to be a sign up, so I guess just come up one at a time. And I ask that you be respectful. I appreciate your interest. I'm glad that you are here. And I don't know if you can see this, but I put my phone number, okay? And if you wanna call and we talk about this, or it's, well, my phone number is everywhere, and I tried to put it everywhere. But if you have a question that or you think of something tomorrow, I don't mind having conversations about this. I do, and I've had people that have emailed and texted, but the line of work that I am in, I cannot be on a keyboard all day long. Most of the time, I've got my hands on the steering wheel, or I'm fixing something that is broken, and so I can talk, but it might be 2 days before you get something written, typed back. Well, it may not even happen. Just call me. And it's some of that is I found out with this land use planning and zoning, is that it takes a while to get on the same page about what the problem is, but I like to hear what people's solutions are as well. And so the conversation is always productive. And some people think I'm crazy for putting my phone number out there, but it's been productive so far. So if whatever, you can give me a call, and if I've got signal and I'm not on the phone, and just leave a message, and I will call you back. So
if anybody in the audience, on next Monday night, on the 24th, the plan will be before the body to vote on. And so that's when a vote by this group will take place, motions to amend, whatever we want to end up doing. Prior to that, there will be a public comment period where you can come in and weigh in on what your thoughts are about the plan. Tonight, instead of that, the only thing we're going to take is if you have a question about the plan, then we'll try to answer it or get some of these experts to answer it. That's what we do tonight, is answer questions. But to comment on it, whether you want it to pass, don't pass, whatever your thoughts are, that would be for next Monday night and the public comment period.
Can you tell them what time that will be? I know we had a discrepancy in the paper that said 5:30, and then we made it 5 today. Will you kind of let them know what time they need to be here and sign in by?
The county commission, it'll be part of the normal county commission, and it starts at 6 o'clock next Monday night in this room.
County commission meeting starts at 6, right?
Ma'am?
The county commissioners meeting starts at 6.
Yes, ma'am, 6 o'clock.
So before that is the question?
No, there'll be a public comment period during the course of that meeting, that we open it up and say, the floor is open, you sign up, you can come in and talk about anything that's gonna be voted on that night in that meeting.
Gotcha.
And then, again, this will be slated and on the agenda for that night.
Gotcha.
And questions won't be answered that night.
Yeah, we can't answer your questions that night.
No.
So this is an opportunity to answer questions that people may have in regards to the plan that everybody's looking at.
just come on up.
I've got a question.
We can.
Go ahead.
If you could, say your name, and don't mind when you come up.
Absolutely. My name is Chris Clark. I'm a resident here in District 2 with my family. I had a speech prepared for tonight. I won't give it because I understand that time for commentaries later. Questions tonight, but a few questions. It seems like the legislative body that is going to work on this land use plan was not in full agreement coming in. That was the whole point of having a work session. Am I correct? And if that is the case, if you choose between now and next Monday to amend the plan, where will we be able to see those amendments prior to making a comment? So we're not wasting time writing commentaries on an old plan that you've now modified with 4 different amendments and changes.
Yes.
Where will that plan be available?
So, Chris, I think you live in the 2nd district.
Correct.
Correct. So you have 2 commissioners.
Yes.
And you need to go talk to your 2 commissioners and talk to them about what changes you may or may not want. It will be, the amendments will be made from, like any other parliamentary group.
Will be made from the floor that night?
From the floor that night.
Okay.
So if you have some suggestions that you would desire, and if there's some suggestions of things that you would not want, you need to fully articulate those to your commissioners.
Consider that done. Question number 2, is the plan in its current form supported by any data such as road capacity studies, septic studies, environmental studies, or infrastructure analysis to determine where we drew that line for that blue corner? Or do we just go by current population growth?
The appendix has all of that in there.
Has the studies on the infrastructure?
Yeah, it's got all that detailed out in the appendix, and that's on the,
I believe we added it to the website.
it's on.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't on the website earlier.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure that it's, so.
And then, how do we go about regulating, we think we've heard you say that this doesn't affect codes tomorrow morning. You vote on it next Monday, codes, that green book does not change next Monday.
Right.
What happens the Monday after that? Because according to the state law, codes has to follow the guidance you put in this plan. We're putting this green book together with a new revised plan in order to prevent a legal way from a unwanted Pinewood Surf Development Club in an unwanted section of the county. And clearly this is a great attempt at doing so. I think I speak for a majority of people behind me when I say I don't think this hits the nail on the head. But we can argue over how we're doing it, but I think that that's the agreed intent, is to control growth in a better way and have legal reasons to X growth we don't want in the future in this county.
All right, and I mean, it's, anybody can, I mean, I'll speak a little bit to that, is that in my opinion, the way it should flow is those concerns, what you just said, that brings up discussion. I think it needs to start in the planning commission because of the resources that are there. And then taking land use plan and saying, okay, in this area, or from the comment that this is preservation, okay, how do we do that? And so then that starts a whole new discussion. And the planning commission, I don't think this has been said, but the planning commission is always a public meeting, and there's always a public hearing, a public comment period, excuse me, during those. So there's not like the public can be at every one of those. It's the first Tuesday night at 6:30. I mean, there's an agenda and all of that. And so, but that's when the discussions are going to start of, okay, how do we manage the growth? And then but it's going to be a big conversation of, do we tie it to strictly infrastructure? Do we change the zonings in areas of the county? And then, I mean, do we add more zones? I mean, all those things. And they're in the discussion of, okay, if we go to an agriculture of 15 acres or 10 or whatever number that we do pick, is then, can we find a way to allow a family member, and some of the ideas that have been thrown out is, okay, the family has owned the property for 20 years, then they can, and I don't even know if we could do that legally or not. I mean, all that's gotta be flushed out, and then, or if it stays in the family for 5 years after it's given, can we go down to an acre? And so that hopefully will spark all those discussions, and we can get something flushed out, and then it will come in front of the county commission, heard twice, and then voted on. So, I mean, I don't think any changes be quick, yes.
But I think back to Chris's, the heart of one of your conversations, or one of your comments was, or questions, was, if this passes next Monday night, what happens the following Monday night? And I'm reading between the lines, but tell me if I'm wrong, that there's a concern that tomorrow, because there's something mentioned in this particular land use recently now would be adopted, that would immediately precipitate to something else happening.
It wouldn't, so we can throw in the word immediately.
Well, I mean, then it would lead to.
It wouldn't lead to. We're actually writing it in the hopes that it does, because if we don't put codes behind what you're writing as a business development plan, then it's a toothless dragon for keeping the subdivisions out. So it must be adopted by codes eventually. Back to his question about the 3 to 15 acres, how do we prevent arbitrary enforcement? I believe that Claude's answer to that was, we'll look at a county map, we'll decide this area for the size of the road might be a 7, this might be a 5, this might be a 3, this might be a 15. So if somebody's farm is in that 15, then we just took from them a taking of value of the land. And so now the county becomes liable for that tort action on a taking. Now, the county, we all know, doesn't actually make money, doesn't own a business, so that means us as taxpayers now have to pay him for the devaluation of his land, yet in the meantime, my land in District 2, I don't suffer from that disease. What'll happen to me is I'll get taxed out of farming my land because mine will be in the growth and development district.
Chris, I appreciate your imagination.
So explain to me what I said that was plan. Explain to me what I said that was incorrect.
Because tomorrow, it's going, at this point, whatever happens, it's still gonna be A1. 1 acre is gonna be the minimum.
Yeah.
But you said, because there's some allusion to this, that's gonna, something's gonna immediately transpire. And at the end of the day, in this thing right now, for 20 years, there has been a crossroads community.
Let's go one at a time, so everybody can hear.
To approve it.
Hold on, you'll get your chance.
So there's been a reference to crossroad communities. And it talks about various things about it and this and that. Well, but there's not even a mention of crossroad communities or of zoning in that green book that Claude was talking about. So just because something happens to be referred to or mentioned in this, and that's a long way from number one, to becoming anything, or even us doing anything about it.
So if the land use thing that you're putting together now as a document of future land use means that it won't be adopted as code, is what you're saying, or are you telling me I'm delusional for thinking it will one day be adopted?
No, what I'm saying is that you have taken, for example, you're under the impression that I think that in a few days from now, or at some point in time after this, that somebody is going to do something to change the minimum lot size to something that is greater
Claude stated
than...
that clearly tonight 4 times.
I don't think Claude said that clearly tonight.
Wait here, yeah.
5 times.
So, let's see if we can clear this up. So apparently I did not communicate it well. Alright, so ask your question about, like, what did I say 4 or 5 times? So.
Sure, the statement you made 4 or 5 times was that in the future, the County Commission of Zoning will decide between the 3 and 15, they will come up with a number. If they don't uniformly apply that to the non-growth area, if they don't uniformly apply that, they may actually choose to come up with 2 or 3 different areas, such as other counties do, where they choose 3, 5, 7, 15.
Yep.
Okay.
You stated that clearly 3 times, but now he's saying, for me restating that, I'm delusional that that could happen. You actually told us what you're gonna do.
Okay, so, and let's see if I can clear that up, and this goes back to what I started with.
I hope you're not trying to muddy the water.
Well, it goes back to this question, if we remove the numbers, do we agree? But the answer to that is no.
Okay.
Because if we remove the numbers, it just becomes more arbitrary with the old language. The old language is terrible, you and I are in dead agreement there, it leaves way too much open to legal.
So what would be this, I'm just asking, then what would be the solution?
What everybody has talked about tonight over and over. Why make it 3 to 15?
Well,
Leave it 1.
what would the,
Leave it 1.
On tomorrow,
Yep,
if this passes,
correct.
it's still 1.
Yep.
And it's still gonna say low density, which is exactly what it says in the old plan. It says low density. I mean, I don't know exactly.
All right, so, but now you get to the point of where, if we have to include a number and we have to include a number, or we'll get sued for being uniformly applying this to different property owners, right?
I disagree.
A low versus
I disagree with that. But if you're, I'm just trying to help you out. If your concern is that that's your concern, then you need to go find 2 commissioners in here to write a resolution that says the minimum acreage, minimum lot size can never be greater than 1 acre. And that will go in that book. That's it.
So if that's the case, why not put it that way in the land use plan now? I think that's what the citizenry behind me.
Because the land use plan is not the document with which you do that.
Oh, but the state law says that the document from which we do that must be pulled from the land use plan, or the people in the county commission making those decisions going forward, disregarding the land use plan that was approved by the state. So you're saying the whole point of producing this document is so that we will have teeth in the dragon of codes writing the code.
Okay, so I think the misunderstanding is with the process. is that whatever version of the land use plan, it sounds like that it's gonna be amended to change the numbers, take out the numbers, or whatever. And then, there's got to be more discussion on how we meet those goals that are in the land use plan. But the process says that in order to change the green book, the county commission, somebody has to bring a resolution to amend, okay? And then it's gonna be voted on by these commissioners after the second hearing. And so, that if we cannot agree on a change, we can't enact a change. And so I think that's.
But if you agree on that change, in order to change the green book, that resolution must be drawn by state law from the land use plan that you are writing.
I don't think it can get outside of the land use plan.
Correct.
So.
By statute, sir.
Yeah, so if, like right now, it says the range, pick a number somewhere between 3 and 15. My understanding, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong on that, is I don't think we can then go, we're gonna have a 20. Like we can't go above.
But at a minimum, we will be A3. There is no A1.
But I think it's, all that process of changing it to that number, if that number was to stay in that land use plan, and where that is, all of that is gonna have to be defined and worked on. And yes, it's gonna be used as a guide, but we all have to agree in order for that to pass. I mean, and so that's,
So it's not that the land use plan is actually gonna be immediately adopted as law, but as soon as you all agree, then it becomes law.
We're gonna have to
I just wanna make sure we're understanding.
work through a lot of the nuts and bolts of it. Because it's not a quick, easy conversation of,
okay.
Because like there'll be a lot about what that number is, and is it really gonna be preserving, the rural areas?
Sir, in the first hour of this program, you're saying the same thing over and over. Mr. Clark said that you guys are supposed to vote on this next Monday, and it sounds like we're not ready for that. I think at this point, it would be an absolute disregard of the constituents for the panel to call a vote on it next Monday when there is so much disagreement. Albeit, Danny, I agree, there were a lot of opportunities for citizenry involvement prior to this point. But it clearly shows that there is definitely a miscommunication between the citizenry of this county and the County Planning Commission. Because the first question, which we go back to, which actually I believe I got called illusionary for this one, what is our plan to pay for the tort action of the land evaluation? By the way, I am aware that certain members of this committee were actually served via email today with that if this passes, this will be the tort and legal action brought for the devaluation of land that is outside of that blue zone in this county, because you just made it, you took value away from the land. And by state law, you have to compensate them for that. That's not, I didn't make this up. I didn't come in here and say, how can we defeat this? I love what the committee's trying to do. I'm a citizen in this county with 140 acres myself. It's in the development zone, and I'm looking to grow that as more farmland. I'm Danny's next door neighbor. I want the county protected. I want business in this county to grow, and I want it to be preserved rurally. Everybody here does. Do you want your place to live rurally? Yeah. So if we do that, I think what we're doing now is we're in a failed argument that's saying we either do it this way as written, or you guys are just believing the social media beast if you don't do it this way. And the answer is neither. The answer is there needs to be more amendments brought forward. There needs to be changes to this so that we all sit here in agreement. We go, this is how we prevent the next surf club. But without doing so to the deprivation of the rights and values of the property landowners here in this county.
Yeah.
What are your suggested changes?
Okay, great. Many suggested changes. First of all, the 3 to 15 is an arbitrary number that a survey company came up with. We've all agreed in this county, and there has been no uprising from a citizenry in this county, that 1 acre was sufficient before. So bring the 3 to 15, replace that with 1. That's the start. Now, to Danny's point, bringing it down to 1 acre to a group that comes in and wants to build the next surf park, as long as they're willing to do 1 acre lots on all the homes and make it high-end homes on 1 acre lots, they can build their subdivision. They can do it off Pinewood Road or someplace else. So the simple blanket solution that, no, we're going to defeat them with the land use is not a good way. You address it in other ways. You say infrastructure must be in place in order to approve it. So if we say infrastructure must be in place even on a 1 acre lot, now we're saying, okay, infrastructure has to be in place for a 1 acre lot. So when the surf park comes and they say, we want to take this 100 acres of property and make 100 1 acre lots, great, show me the infrastructure for each one of those lots before you can be approved. Because if you don't have that, then the answer is a no. You can't subdivide it if there's no infrastructure available. Now, if they're willing to pay for infrastructure, and they're willing to pay to make a 30-foot wide road, then I ask you, what's the difference between building that out on Pinewood Road, where they want it close to 40, or building it out in Bon Aqua? Right now, this plan authorizes them to build the Pinewood Surf development. It does. It authorizes them to build it in full. If what you put in this plan is code, they can build it. They just have to do it in Bon Aqua. You're not doing anything to stop it. You're just putting them in a corner.
In our subdivision regulations, like, we require them to build the infrastructure. That's already.
Right. You require them to build it. So the company that comes along can build it. So even if we keep it to 3 to 15 acres, and you come up with a 3 acre minimum for a rule or something else, they can go, okay, great. The lot prices just doubled for our surf club, and everybody gets 3 acres with their house, and we'll pay for it. And we'll put in the road, and we'll put in the infrastructure. You didn't defeat them. Well, there are ways. Now what I say is, can I, Chris Clark, who is a business owner of a water company, and a farmer, and a retired military guy with 23 years under my belt, can I come in here now, like you said, this is not your full-time job, it's not mine. Can I come in here right now on the spot and come up with suggestions? No. But that doesn't tell me from telling us that the road we're on right now is not the one we need to pass into a land use plan that future codes will be built off of, because it's a toothless dragon. So if we take it back and we just give ourselves, hey, what if we postpone it 1 month, the vote? In this 1 month, I'd say you've got enough community involvement that Danny wanted a year ago, that the community will now get involved. We all will reach out. We'll put together some things. You have another open session where we do another planning. Now, the people up here have suggestions from their constituents on ways we can get around it that are tried, true, and legal. Ones that attorneys can't go around whether they're $2,000 an hour or more. One that doesn't open up the county to tort and legal action. And we develop and draft a plan in the final countdown. I agree that it's about time to marry this lady and the bride. But I don't want to put lipstick on a pig and call it my bride. We want to make sure that we have a real bride. We want to make sure that we're coming to somebody.
Do you have any more questions? Monday night.
Monday night. I hope I don't need to comment Monday, and I hope the board decides.
Next question.
Yes, the one that didn't get answered. What is the plan that if we go forth with this plan to minimize the financial impact to the county for legal action of the devaluation of it, of property? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about, first of all?
Sure. Well, I'm sorry, stop.
Because down zoning opens us up to that.
We want to hear what he has to say.
So what is your question? If your question is,
okay,
how are we?
Repeat it, what do you think my question is?
I think that you're asking the question that if there's a hypothetical legal action, how are we going to pay for it? Based on this?
No. My question, close. Okay. So I'm going to get there. My question is, anytime we do anything as a government, we open ourselves up to tort. Sure. We all know that. So if we do something as a government agency and we open ourselves up to tort, 2 things. 1, what is our defense against that tort? And 2, if we open ourselves up to tort, okay, fine, you can sue a dead cat in this state. You still have to pay legal expenses, then you can go after him for it later, we get all that. But the point is, you make yourself bulletproof to tort by going, these are the procedures and rules we followed, so this is what's going to go on. Specifically, the Tennessee Constitution and the 14th Amendment of the United States protect the government from downzoning a property without fiscal compensation to a landowner. So the day you decide to do this, and it affects the value of a property owner, class action lawsuit from every single citizen in the county, and you open yourself up to it, because lawyers would settle it. They won't even argue that in a courtroom because it's tried. And you asked about other counties. You brought up other counties have done X, Y, and Z. Go find out. Just Google it yourselves what happens on dezoning lawsuits. They're all settled out of court because they know, okay, our plan is this. We really want to make this happen in the county. Altogether, it's going to cost us about $4.5 million in zoning fines if they sue us. But in the next 10 years, we'll make that back tenfold, so let's just do it. And that's why they get settled out of court. I wish I made this stuff up. I didn't. I don't want my taxes to go up to settle a bad lawsuit because we rushed putting lipstick on a pig to pass a plan that was still ineffective at stopping the new Pinewood Surf Club. when postponing it a month cost us no legal action. Nobody can sue us for postponing developing our land use plan. You've got citizenry involvement, and we can now finally get the plan with all the amendments put together, where your vote isn't looking like 8-5. Your vote is more like unanimous, because all of your constituents get behind it. That's all. I don't have any more questions other than that, and if you could answer it. Is there a plan to defend yourself against that lawsuit from a legal standpoint, as well as to pay for it if that fails? As soon as that question's answered, I will gladly open the floor up to other questions. Not that it's mine to hold, I did not mean that.
No, fine.
I mean, I don't think I know that we're not at risk because nothing's gonna change until, I mean, and if it does, then, I mean, we would be seeking the legal we seek legal counsel before we change any of that.
So just out of curiosity, when you say we know we're not at risk, what brought you to that fact?
Well, because,
Delton Mayberry said it would be, it'd devalue property.
Yes.
Delton Mayberry himself
Delton
said it.
Mayberry was our tax inspector, he said it.
Delton Mayberry
Don't
stated
bet your
they more
farm
off
on it.
1 acre than he do 5.
okay, but again, before we change anything in this, we're gonna, I mean, look at the legal ramifications. I mean, that would be irresponsible. I mean, it's so, I mean.
What you're doing here.
So what I'm saying is we're writing the framework now for the contents of the future green binder. We can pass a dummy that we say we're never gonna use this to pass the green binder.
There's other people that are wanting to ask questions, and I think we need to be respectful for
That
that.
sounds good. Anybody else want to ask a
Sidestep all these
question?
questions, we ain't getting nowhere.
I yield the floor. Thank you. Thank you, County Commission. Seriously, thank you. That was not sarcasm, and thank you earlier for not kicking me out the first time I spoke.
Even though he hates you.
By the way, I plan on sitting on this commission one day now. This is-
Yeah.
I'm Stacy Ledbetter, District 5. I just had a question. I talked to Dusty and stuff. He said he's gonna run it by you, but why can't we add an amendment to anybody that owns land already in this county? Why can't we have a grandfather system where we can keep our 1 acre that we can give, and any future buyers have to do the 3 to 15 that you redone? Why can't you do that for our families?
Kind of to what his point is, that, like, when we get to that discussion of how all this is going to be enacted, like, all of those possibilities are gonna be brought up, and we're gonna make sure that what we're doing is legal in there. But yes, I mean, if we could do that, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, we're not gonna ignore that, because that's been probably the largest concern, is to be, people that have lived here to be able to do that. I mean, if we can figure out how to do that, then we'll do it. I mean, we're gonna consider everything when it comes to change that. But I mean, I'm with you. It was Dusty spoke, and yeah.
So the current plan is 1 acre, right? So there's land in the county right now, less than 1 acre, 3/4 of an acre. It is sold, houses have been built, it's moved on. Nobody has stopped those, as far as I know. Does anybody know anything different than what I just stated? So.
That's not my concern of what that is. My concern is I have land out there, and I have children, and I have grandchildren, and if you decide, where you keep saying it's only 3 to 15, you have no right telling me, okay, 15 acres is what you can have out here to give to your 1 child. And then this other child don't get any if I don't have 15, 20 acres. They have no right setting that on our area. When we're
I misunderstood what you had stated.
No, when we're all already here, we've done bought the land, we've done paid for, we've been paying taxes forever. It seems like y'all could grandfather us in, and future builders, fine, do your new plan with. But leave us alone that we built this county to what it is. That's what I don't understand, why you can't do that.
All of those suggestions, like, they will be considered. I mean, but we have to make sure that what we're doing is legal. I mean, there's some legal part with, I mean,
Okay, you're gonna take those into suggestion, but then you're saying you're gonna vote on them next Monday night, just like
Right.
people
No,
say,
no,
how are you gonna take them to
like,
suggestion?
when we get to the nuts and bolts about how to implement this,
No.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about, because we couldn't, I mean, because what you're talking about is getting into, like, how we do it in this book here. Like, if we feel like that we need to change and go above the minimum 5 acre in the county, okay, then we're gonna have to write all of those regulations and put them in this book and then be voted on, and that's like, So we'll
And
be,
it'll be voted on though just by y'all whenever it should be a county vote. This should be on a ballot where people that own the land get to vote on it. It should not, all you people here should not vote on what we do with our lives and our land. It needs to be on the ballot, y'all need to just postpone all of this and just wait and put it on a ballot to vote.
okay, but, I mean, we do have to kind of move along, though. I mean,
Wow, who's losing money? Who's not gonna get money if it's not done by next week?
We haven't updated the plan in 20 years.
Then what's one more wait until another vote time?
Look, I understand, I'm just trying to give you a reason, and, but I want you to know that we're not ignoring, I mean, if we're not gonna ignore, if there's a change made, we're gonna consider everything that we can.
But you're gonna considering it,
One at a time, I mean, it's.
but what, considering it, I understand, but whenever y'all go ahead and vote on it, and we're not here to say no, even if we come up next week and say, no, we don't want it, well, y'all better make your mind up, yes, this is what we want.
Well, but there's gonna
And
be.
it shouldn't be that way.
Yes.
If we vote next Monday and take the numbers out, or put a minimum of 1 acre, it's exactly what it is right now, pretty much.
What it is right now, just leave it alone then. Yeah. What's the problem? Leave it alone.
It isn't exactly what we have right now. As I stated earlier, the current growth area is 8%. This plan would actually increase that up to about 26%. 34% if you include Centerville. So there is some differences. But that's what, if we take those numbers out, I think it's gonna solve your concern completely.
Yes, it will. Plus, if you put it on a ballot where everybody in the county could vote on it instead of just this group of men right here get to tell me what I can do with my land for the rest of my life.
Amen, sister.
I completely agree.
Hi guys, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Terry Christie and I am running for Congress in this district. But I'm a resident of Hickman County. I want to address a couple of things with a couple of questions. You guys understand that our founders understood that property rights were the cornerstone of American liberty, and we fought a revolution for it. Through state law, common law, and our constitutions, both state and federal, they sought to protect the individual from government overreach. Whether that overreach happens through outright takings like you're trying to do here, or through regulations that strip away an owner's ability to use their property the way they choose. Not a conservative bunch in here. You're a bunch of freaking commies, just saying it. Too many Hickman County families feel that our rights are being chipped away by this undeliberative body, not for the public good, but through unclear rules, selective enforcement, pocket lining, and decisions made without accountability of you as individuals.
Ms.
You do this,
Christie,
you'll be
Ms.
accountable.
Christie, do you have a question?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, it's for you.
Sure.
By the way, this is why I'm running against all odds for Congress. As an independent candidate, in this special election, I might actually pull this out. Not because I want a title or to puppet people, but because I want to fight for these people's personal liberties against people like you.
Chairman, point of order.
And let me say this very clearly, if the voters send
Ms.
me to
Christie,
Washington,
do you have a question?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
My question, you didn't want me to get to that. You'd rather me go on. I'm calling on Commissioners Nash, Calicut, and Clark to resign immediately.
Well, that's not a question.
Amen.
Okay, thank you.
Will you resign?
No, ma'am, I won't. Thank you.
That's okay. If I don't win the congressional seat, I'm running against him, and if I win the congressional seat, I'll take him down.
There we go. Is there another one? Is there another question? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. I do live in the East End.
You live on, sorry.
I live in the East End. And so all of this I've been hearing, a lot of is in the outside of the county. I'm not gonna take a hit financially with the things that you're doing. I've been here for over 20 years. What I do think is fair is that we own our property. We moved out here for a purpose. I moved out here for the rural area that it is. I don't want the development. I don't want those things to come and mess up the Hickman County that I moved to. What I do want to understand is why we are even debating this 1 acre change. By a raise of hand, does anybody want to change 1 acre rule? No. Do we want less than 1 acre? Do we want you guys restricting how we develop our more than 1 acre? I think 1 acre is fair. I look at the county, I look at other counties, Williamson County is a good example. A lot of people can't maintain more than 1 acre anyway. So by giving them more land, you give them more space to put garbage. And you give them more than they can maintain. 1 acre is really what's already written. I don't see a purpose of why we are arguing to change it when we, the people, don't want it changed.
What's your, I didn't catch your name.
Catherine Williams, and I have just at 19 acres. So I can build and do what I would want on my piece of property, but if I want to put 19 houses on my 19 acres, I paid for it, it's mine. I should be able to put on it what I choose to.
You can if you're in the blue zone.
I'm in the blue zone.
There you go.
I'm in East. I can do those things.
15,000 square feet.
If it's 1 acre is really a fair amount of land, whether you have a farm with 150 acres or you have a piece of land with 19 acres, 1 acre is fair. I think that if you're gonna make changes, it's fair to us as the people that we are grandfathered in. Now, I don't think 20 years back is a fair grandfather time, because a lot of people moved out here in the last 20 years with the preservation of what we expected in Hickman County. So I would think that you would consider maybe a 10-year, or even 5-year, or at the day that you sign those papers, if you would be considered in the fact that a lot of us moved here for what we have. We deserve to be able to make the decisions with what we purchase, how we choose to do it, and anyone coming in, I think they should have to pay for their road. I think if they're coming in, they should have to pay for their infrastructure, and not with bonds, make them do it. So that way when a bond expires or goes bad, we don't have another Charleston Place mess up in the county. So again, put the infrastructure on anybody wanting to develop. If developers want to come in and put in a neighborhood of 1 acre per lot, let them do it, they're gonna do it. But make them pay for what they have done, but don't punish us for what we have already purchased and making us change our future plans of what we chose to do to move out here.
I do have one other question that I didn't get asked. This is for Mr. Nash. Are you still running your sewage into the creek on McFarland Road?
No, ma'am, and that never has happened.
I got pictures. Liars.
I have a question. Yes, I know we talked a lot about 15,000-foot lots. Just want to specify, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to have sewer for that, correct?
Yeah.
Do we have sewer?
In certain places.
Can you hook up to it?
I mean, there's some people that are.
No, you can't. You can't hook up to the sewer. We know that. We trashed that. So have you guys taken into account the right-of-way of 30 foot that we passed recently? You gutted the growth zone. You know you gutted it. You gutted the growth zone like it sits. And we don't have the infrastructure we keep talking about. So I guess my question is, in what ways will you take this plan in the growth zone with a 30-foot right-of-way and use it with no sewer and incentivize development with no real infrastructure? I mean, have you thought about mending the relationship with Dixon Sewer?
Nash don't have to, he can run his into the creek.
Now, I would disagree with the 30-foot right-of-way discouraging growth. I mean, there's. Okay, just finish and then go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay,
Let's hear
I
it,
disagree with that. I don't think that is discouraging the growth, because to me, in my mind, is that if we're requiring an adequate 2-lane road, we're expecting the growth to be down that road, and so in the future, it can handle the traffic. I mean, I don't think that deters.
It doesn't deter the developer. You're right. The developer's gonna come in and spend the money. It's deterring mom and pop who wanna split a lot on a county road with city water for their kid, their family, whatever they wanna do. It's done, it's toast. Take a look at how many roads have that, very, very few. Point is, my question is, and I'll stop, what plans do you have to get sewer in place in the growth zone for adequate growth in that area? What plans? Do we have any plans at all?
There's none that I know.
Okay, I have a follow-up question then,
Sure.
after that. So, on page, let's see, 43, one of the goals on 43 is expand sewer alternatives and water covers to meet growing demand in northeast Hickman. So that's supposed to be one of the goals. There's a law, 6-58-104 for planned growth area. Current and projected costs of infrastructure, urban services, and public facilities needed for development methods to finance these needs. So part of a land use plan or comprehensive growth plan in a planned growth area, it says several factors must be taken into account. And one is the current projected cost of infrastructure, urban services, and public facilities needed for development and methods to finance these needs. None of that's done. Is that correct? None of it.
I don't think that none of that is being done. I think that the infrastructure is going to follow or come with the growth as the growth comes.
Pass it, find out
I mean,
what's in it.
that's the thought behind it. And so,
How are you gonna fund it?
the infrastructure,
Yeah.
well, I mean, the developer, I mean, we've talked
So
about.
you're just gonna rely on other people, developers, to lay the infrastructure for us?
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you think it is a fair way for the infrastructure to be, because it's gonna be paid by the county property owners, like through property taxes?
As long as we're giving away $4 million to the city, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to my question is, the county property owners are gonna pay for that infrastructure through their property taxes. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's went up 4 times in 4 years, yes.
Okay, so do you think it is a fair, in your opinion, do you think it is a fair way to pay for infrastructure for a development?
So who's asking the questions, the people or you?
Okay.
There was a plan to run.
Hold on, let me finish what I was saying. Do you think, in your opinion, do you think it is fair for the rest of the county, the Coburn, the Pleasantville, the landowners there, to pay for that infrastructure for that development?
No, that's why there's grants. And there was a grant to run sewer to East Elementary Middle School, and what happened? You killed it. Save Lake Creek, gave it away.
The vote was to send that money to Centerville for the water. That was the vote. So, but what you're saying is, if we have to foot the bill for the infrastructure, what you're saying is that the rest of the county property owners need to pay for that infrastructure for that development. Unless we can find a grant.
No, I'm saying it's like Pinewood EMS. There's a way to fund and purchase things that doesn't come out of property tax dollars.
Well, sure, and I mean, and I hope those avenues keep coming. We don't know if those grants are gonna, who knows if those, because a lot of those were federal grants, correct? We don't know if those.
And the city doesn't use all of it, it gets all back returned.
Sure.
There has been no discussion to pay for any infrastructure. None. I fought for it, we gave it away. I will say tonight, there's never been any discussion to step up and pay it. I've always used Mr. Murray here as an example. Because of what we did with the $4 million, if we do, Pleasantville will pay for what Bonapple has. So Mark, the whole bill goes back to what Austin said just a minute ago. We voted last week to make the roads wider and the developer to pay for the infrastructure because we, the legislative body, have no desire to pay for it. To answer your question, no, and it won't ever happen. I don't agree with it, but that's where we stand. And if I'm wrong, gentlemen, please speak up here at your time.
West know that the property owners are gonna pay for it.
We are not gonna pay for it.
Right.
There's not even,
I've never
there's not
suggested
even the discussion about it other than we're not gonna pay for it. That was the intent of the 30-foot road and the water. So what I'm saying is.
Because we're giving away the money, so then what?
Mark, you got any other questions?
No, I'm done, thank you.
Let him finish. Good grief.
I'm Dwight Sullivan. I'm a 60-year resident of Hickman County. I'm 70 now. I've been on this county commission and I've been on the school board for 12 years in Hickman County. was a real estate agent through the 2010 years. I was a part, as a real estate agent of the school board, of that original growth plan that we're looking to revise now. The state, from my recollection, that's been 20 years ago, they asked us to come up with a plan. They needed some data. They needed to know how many people was in our county. They needed to know what parts of our county was growing. They needed to know where the utilities was at. They needed to know what utilities we needed. That's all part of this growth plan. Unless the rules have changed, that's what they asked for again. And I think actually you've got a great data plan. The work's been done. There's information in here, how many people's here, how much growth we've had, where it's went to, what utilities are available. I understand that. What a lot of people in this room might not understand, this growth plan is not law. It don't create 3 acres, 5 acres. It don't put those restrictions there. But what it is a blueprint, a roadmap for how you're gonna rewrite that green book, that planning and zoning book. So instead of doing what we're doing here and trying to include all the planning and zoning rules into the growth plan, eliminate those controls, those government controls. That's a job for planning and zoning. The growth plan's good. I don't have a problem with anything in the growth plan. But tying the roadmap and blueprint for planning and zoning into that growth plan creates a problem. That needs to be battled one battle at a time down the road. We can argue here all night long about what needs to be in there and what not needs to be in there. The fact is, there's still gonna be differences of opinion when it's all said and done. Fight those zoning and planning battles one at a time. Approve the growth plan and amend those restrictions out of it. And I'm gonna say right quick, I'm making a comment from observation. I wish this county commission would find some way to help the acoustics in here. I left my hearing aids at home, and I absolutely know nothing more than I did when I come here because I haven't heard any of this conversation going on. So at some point, I'd like to see acoustics available where us elderly deaf people could hear. But the other thing, pass the planning and zoning, pass the growth plan, leave all the planning and zoning literature out of it. That's my comment.
I got a question. My question is, how is changing from 1 acre in Hickman County gonna better the future of our children when they can't pass a piece of property law? How does that, that's a question, how does it benefit those children? I'm talking about 16-year-olds or whatever. How does that benefit them, changing that to 3 acres when their grandfather only has 4 and he's got 2 grandkids? How does that benefit them? How does that better their lives? Some of the best neighborhoods in Hickman County have 1 acre lots. Poplarcombe, Chiggerwood, Chiggerwood 2, Bonacqua Acres. I mean, that benefits our kids, they can afford that. I mean, those are nice. They have actually good, they have holiday meetings, they do Halloween, yard sales, but how does that benefit? Some of y'all can call me and tell me how that benefits them by changing from 1 acre to 3 or 5 or whatever. How does that benefit them? That's our children, not me. I'm not worried about it.
You just line some commissioners' pockets, in my opinion.
I thought you wanted to say something.
I do, but I don't know if I want to say it yet.
Josie, you got a question?
Yeah.
No, and I thought you had your hand up as well.
Well,
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
I didn't expect to be called on right immediately. So I guess my question is, does this growth plan, is it still in effect, even if it doesn't pass at the county commission level? Because the planning commission has already adopted it the way that it's written. So you can still use the plan whether or not the county commission approves it. Is that correct? Who adopted it? Wow. The legislative body still has to approve it. The legislative body has to approve it for it to become law. But the planning commission still can use a plan if it's adopted, but a planning attorney will tell you that if you are going to have a growth plan, you should adopt it by your county commission so everybody has to follow it. And I do agree with that. I don't agree with everything that's in the plan, but I do think that if every resident of Hickman County is going to have some laws on them, that everybody should have to follow those laws. So I do think that it should pass the county commission,
maybe there could be some amendments. I do have a suggestion on the agricultural preservation portion of that. There is something in your old growth plan that says that they actually said that in order to preserve agriculture, we want to put a 25-acre minimum on land. But they said for the public to be able to voluntarily ask for that zoning to be implemented on their property. That is an option, and it is in the book that we hadn't used, and I'll be the first one to say it wasn't picked up. I mean, I worked in planning and zoning for years, and I still do for the town of Centerville, and it wasn't used the way that it was intended to. And it should be, and I do think the county commission should adopt it. I do think that there should be some amendments to it. But everybody jumping up and down is trying to keep the developers from coming in. They're coming regardless. This land use plan is to help you, but we can mold it in a way to what the community wants. It's a land use and transportation plan. So Grisham and Smith did their job based off of what the community told them to do. Unfortunately, 400 or 500 people that have difference of opinions than you guys do told them that this is what we wanted. So maybe there does need to be an extension on community involvement and try to do that, but you guys can't gripe and complain when you weren't there at
That
those
was a
meetings.
year ago, and most people didn't know.
Yeah,
Thank-
but my
Question.
question is, it can still be used without the county commission actually adopting it as law.
I don't believe that's true.
Well, I don't think we can contradict ourselves,
I do think that
because I think it could still go down to an acre. I mean, I know there might be other situations, but I don't think that like planning and zoning can contradict what's here.
Yeah, I mean, the zoning ordinance is an ordinance itself.
You're right.
It is law, so it cannot be amended unless the county commission votes to amend it and creates a resolution.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying.
But a plan can still be used in conjunction with that ordinance. Every training that I've ever had.
Like on rezoning, we couldn't.
So if you adopt the land use plan and you say, I want to subdivide 3 acres of land over here. Okay, well, in this area, it says that that's where we want parcels of land that are of that size. Then you would vote to do that. But if I bring you a subdivision plat and it goes to the planning commission, but I've got lots that are 1 acre or 2 acres on that, but it's not in that area of royal, or what are you calling it, around the cities, in your plain growth area or your urban growth boundary.
Yeah, okay.
If it's not in that suburban residential district, then I wouldn't be allowed to subdivide my property to that size.
Well, I don't think that's right, because I think that it would be, like, it would be allowed in our subdivision regulations and in our lot. So even though if I'm understanding you correctly, I mean, maybe I'm not, I mean, Austin, Miranda?
I think the attempt in getting into a hypothetical is admirable, but I don't think this is the right place to be trying to get into hypotheticals like that.
Okay.
I think you should ask Sam Edwards, who is the trainer who has trained all of you guys, and her, and ask them whether or not you can use that plan regardless of what the county commission passes.
Yeah, and yes, I just,
because I've spoken to him in depth about
right, and I did too about that scenario. I just don't, and I'm probably not understanding your question. I just don't know how that we can do anything in planning and zoning that is contradictory to this. But you may not be asking about something that's contradictory. I don't know. I mean, and you and I, we can talk about.
Yeah, I just think that if we're gonna have a plan, we should pass it. I do agree there. I just think that it ought to be changed, and I do think that the planning commission can still use that plan whether or not the county commission adopts it into law. And that was really my only question.
Okay. Yeah, yes, sir.
So, Delta Cost is my name. I'm not a good speaker or anything, but I got a question. If the green book goes through and it passes, whatever, with or without the numbers, whatever, and then it goes to the planning and use plan, it goes to the whatever the title is, I don't know the title.
Sure.
What do? Do they make decisions based on that book and then implement them and go back to you guys for a vote? Or do they do what they said, whatever the book says they can do?
Yes, if the planning commission can take whatever version of this that passes, and if they feel like that there are changes that need to be made, that they're gonna work on all that language, okay, and then it will come back here, and it'll have 2 public hearings, And then, like,
They can't just change it, whatever?
no, this cannot be changed unless the county
Has to be voted
commission.
on, okay.
Yeah, right.
But they say they can use that without voting on it. She's just said she's used it already. So what Chris said about,
It can just be used as a guidance
Chris
document
said
to
about
guide their decisions.
hypothetically
Not
somebody
be used
changing
as law.
something, and Mr. Nash blasted him back about that. It's not that fantastical.
Well, okay, Josie, will you say that again? I couldn't tell.
It can only be used as a guidance document at the planning commission level until it is passed at the county commission. And if it passes the county commission, it does become law. That's what all the training that I've said, but the planning commission can still use it as an advisory document.
Sure,
Is
yeah.
what I was trying to say previously.
Okay,
I don't know if it
yeah,
came across that way.
I understand, I got you now.
But it can still be used as an advisory document.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to know, I'm Jeannie Lacoste. I'd like to know how many of our commissioners are also on the planning and zoning.
There's three, that's how that committee is set up. There's three, and then there is there's a representative from each district, that's on the planning and planning commission, and then there is one appointed by the county mayor. So that's 12, there's 12. So you've got one, Jason Carter is District 1, and then it's Keith Nash, me, and then Clark we're the three commissioners that are currently on that. And then, the mayor, there's one from every other district, but and then there's a mayor appointed, person that's on the planning commission. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's James Adams. I'm just dying to ask a simple question. Yeah, I think that most people in this room is opposed to this idea that you got. There's no question of that. I think a lot of things y'all do, people are opposed of it. I just mentioned the Lanita's restaurant that I've read about. Everybody was very unhappy about that. But my question for you is, do you care? Do you care about the public opinion? We the people voted for you. Do you care? You work for us.
Sure.
Not for
And
yourself.
I'll say this, this is just me personally. All the commissioners can speak, if they want to. And I do care. I do care. And there are, I've gotten as many phone calls in support of this. Well, okay, let me back up. I haven't gotten many phone calls, but there has been as much support for this as there has been against that. The Facebook, they tried to run my character down and do all of that because they want our county, they don't want our county to stay like it is. They want it turned into Murray County. I've been run through the mud. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. And I've got a lot of text of, hey, appreciate what you're doing for the county and all that. I have not been able to have as many phone conversations as I would like to because it is an extended thing. I put my number out there, try to, because I do care about what people are wanting. I do. But you need to understand that it's the tone of the crowd has been very clear, okay? And so there will be some people that are in support of this, but they're not going to stand up and say anything. And so and you can believe me or not, but there are some people that are in support of it, just like there are some people that are opposed to it. And it's, but I care enough that I'll take time out away from my family and my work day. I'll put my phone number everywhere to have the conversation about it. It was like, I've been the chairman of the planning commission for 3 years. Zero fun. Zero. It is not a fun job, but I feel like it is extremely important. I feel like our county is at a vital place, okay? Now, I do not have all the answers. That's why I have tried to get on the phone with as many people as I possibly can, because y'all have good ideas, okay? You have things that I have not thought of. But when I look at the counties to our east, Dixon, Williamson, and Murray County, they are busting at the seams. They are not the same counties that they were 20 years ago. And I'll say this. I grew up in Williamson County. We had a family farm. We left in '94 Because when my grandfather passed away, my grandfather paid $100 an acre for that farm. I don't even know what it was worth, what it appraised for. The inheritance tax was different then. We got a letter from the IRS that says, because your property value is now this is what you are inheriting, you owe us, I'm not gonna give you the number, but the government got more than what the children of my grandfather, my aunt, my uncle, and my father got. And so I have seen when the growth comes into an area, I have seen what it has done to a community. Now, we knew we were gonna have to sell some of the farm to pay the tax bill, and my dad said, we're leaving because our quality of life is not the same as what it was. The neighborhood had changed, okay? And so we packed up. There was a farm for sale. Dr. Tom Covington's farm was for sale in Owen, Tennessee. We were fortunate enough to buy it. Now, I'm on the planning and zoning, and I'm a county commissioner, and I'm donating my time because I love Hickman County. We have a great way of, it is a wonderful place to live. I've been able to raise my girls on a road with neighbors that are good people. They look out, we look out for each other, all those. I don't want that to change. Now, I don't know exactly what to do in all of this to keep it, the quality of life the same. The growth is coming, and that's fine. We just need to manage it. But I do care, because I don't want the same thing to happen to me when I grew up in Williams County. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bitter about it because, I would not trade the last whatever since '94, however years that's been. I don't want to live up there. I don't want to live in that. They don't know their neighbors. They don't know each other. They don't have the quality of life that I want. But I do care though, and I have been listening to this, and I listen to the other people that, I've talked to that came to the public engagement periods. There's not an easy answer. There's not a clear way that we can preserve what we have, the good part about Hickman County, and I don't have the answer yet about how to accommodate everything. So I didn't mean to get personal. Everybody's kind of got personal to me online and attacked my character and made accusations, but that's where I come from. And so I do care. And I do encourage each one of you to call me and we can talk about it. I chose to run for county commission. They put me on the planning commission. I feel like it's my job to, try to think ahead, to try to talk to people, and I'm willing to do that. But I do care. It may not seem like, I guess it doesn't seem like that I do, or that I have an agenda or any of that, but pick the phone up and call me. So I hope that answers that. I've learned that people get passionate about things and they're worried about certain things, and that's fine, and I understand that. And so it doesn't bother me. I will sleep well tonight, but yes, I'll tell you what I'm worried about, is that after this land use plan passes, the conversation's gonna stop. That's what I'm worried about. And our county is not gonna be prepared. We need to be looking at this stuff in 5 years, in 10 years, because it's gonna change. There's 10,000 homes in Murray County that does not have water. John Kinney, a man that mentored me, that has a farm in Williamson County, I saw him 4 months ago. He says they're putting a 48-inch water line through his farm from the Cumberland River headed to Murray County. There's so much pressure and so much money made by those developers, they're gonna get that water down there. Now, the reason why that I bring that up is they're gonna figure out the water situation here. I don't know when that's gonna be. It might be 40 years from now, and this is not gonna matter. But it could be quicker than that, I don't know. And so, as far as me caring, yes, I do care. Do I have all the answers? No, but I'd love to talk to each one of you individually.
A suggestion for all of us 1 acre things. Anybody who wants more than that can put their property in a land trust. Problem solved.
That is one thing that can be done. There are some issues with that as far as, like, you have neighbors, and I understand nobody wants to be told what to do with their property. I'm that same way. But I'll be honest with you, I don't want a landfill next to me. And the farm that is next to my farm would be a pretty good spot for one. But I don't want it. But if we operate on the side of, well, you can't tell me what to do with my land, and those of you that know me, you know that's how that I am. But I know that what happens on your neighbor's place can affect your quality of life. I mean, across the road from me 10 years ago, there was a guy, because we're in Olney, we're close to interstate. He was going to put a dirt track, because they were gonna train there, and then they're gonna go to Loretta Lynn's. It would have changed my road. It would have changed my road. And he had every right to do it. And so I guess, and I understand that. I want you to know that I do understand that nobody wants to be told, and we ought to be able to divide it and do what we want to, but you have to think about, okay, if I have that, but okay, I'll say it like this. I've got a friend of mine in Humphreys County, I asked him what they're doing, and he's like, here's how I look at the zoning. I want to do whatever I want to do on my property, but I want y'all to put some laws in on for my neighbor. And, you know, and he was joking, but that's kind of how we are. And so we have to, you kind of got to think of, okay, if I'm allowed to do this, that means my neighbor is allowed to do certain things too. And then also, I think we also need to think as a county as a whole, like I talked about at the beginning, about making sure we're putting things where they need to be put for the services. Because when you run ambulances and the sheriff all over our county right now, and how things are spread out, it is rough on the taxpayers. And the property owners are the ones that foot the bill. I mean, the rural property owners are the ones that are footing the bill. And it's just not an easy conversation. And I think that's why that I'm encouraging all of y'all to pick the phone up and call me. Because like when you give ideas, we need to talk about this could be a problem, or that could be a problem. I mean, we just gotta keep talking. So, and I thank you for that.
Are there any more questions? Yes, ma'am.
I want, if you're so confused about this bill or proposal, and they are, and we are definitely confused, but we have 1 week, how are you gonna write, 2 questions, how are you gonna rewrite or make an amendment and still vote on it in 7 days? If we have to have as many discussions on this topic and this topic as you have said tonight, how are we gonna do that in 7 days and us not be involved in it? Are you gonna have a discussion and amendment and vote on it between 6 and 8 Monday?
Okay, me personally, as a voting commissioner, this is how I would answer that, is I like most of this plan. I'm not confused about it. I like most of this plan. And I like the idea of taking the numbers out. That way that the discussion that follows it, that's gonna come in the planning commission, that there's all kinds of liberty. Like we can have full reign and have the freedom to talk about whatever, to figure out how we're gonna preserve certain areas, how we're gonna encourage certain areas. And so my thought is that we make an amendment to take out some of that language that is restricting us and get this passed, and then we're gonna have to go to work in the planning and zoning. And to me, those discussions, any major change, like changing an agriculture zoning, let's say we left A1 and we added an A5 or whatever, that's gonna take several months, in my opinion, of talking, and that there'll be several public hearings, like where people can, like you come to the planning commission, you hear what we're discussing, the next month you stand up and you say, I don't like it because of this. And we have those, that's how I see it. That way that we can, we have enough time to, the nuts and bolts of making it work.
Right.
That's my response to that.
So why are we in such a hurry to get this land proposal thing done if Hickman County, and I live on Tarkington Road, and then we've got property on Hassel Creek.
Okay.
I don't want Walmart in my backyard, I don't want a dump in my backyard. Sure. It's gotta be somewhere.
Sure,
I prefer not to be in my backyard, but it's, I'm not gonna move or anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but why are we in such a hurry to get this passed for infrastructure and roads and yada, 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 if you, as a body, are not gonna give us a CVS or a Kroger's or something to where we can spend our money in the county, so we as taxpayers don't have to keep funding everything.
Okay. To me, it does not feel like it's a hurry because we've been working on this for 2 years. And I know that not everybody has, I understand.
Right.
I completely understand, but we've been working on this for a while. As far as the retail and all that, those companies, they do I mean, we're not restricting those, we're not saying that they cannot come in, the restricting and all of that. I mean, those companies, they do, they do studies on if they will make it, and, I mean, and so, I mean, if they thought that they could make money, I guarantee you, they would be here putting one in.
If they know they have to fight 14 county commissioners, they'll go to the next county 5 miles away.
Well,
Look, let me
sure.
respond to that. I had a Walmart corporate for 18 years. If Walmart wants to put a Walmart store here, they'll put one here. They won't have to go through here. They'll have to go through zoning. They'll know what the zoning requirements are. They'll get their permits, and they'll have a store here. They don't want the property owners to know because they're buying the land and building the building. They don't own the buildings anymore. They lease them, they sell them to somebody and they lease them. But if a major retailer wants to come anywhere, Hickman County, Lewis County, and there's one in Lewis County, they will be there. They don't rely on county government. They're there. And that's one reason we have so many dollar stores is because they don't need the infrastructure that Walmart needs.
Sewer.
So, and I don't know how many dollar stores, the old joke is to take $10 stores to make a Walmart, I don't know. But they are good for our economy. So, but to answer that question, county commission can't do anything, bring Walmart or Kroger's or any of those. That's up to those individuals. The government doesn't tell a retailer where to build or what to build.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, there's one.
My name is Rodney Coker, I'm in the 7th District. I have a question about, Mr. Clark don't want the numbers taken out, because he wants to be able to change the numbers if he needs to later on. Is that
No, I don't. I just wanna make it clear that the numbers there or not there won't change anything.
You said if the numbers wasn't there, you couldn't change it, am I correct? That's what we said earlier.
Low density will suffice.
Okay. In low density, if we change and take the numbers out, what's gonna change, who's gonna be considered low density, who's gonna be considered not? To change the acreage, to where it's not 1 acre in your green book. What changes that?
That's like Carl just said, the planning committee's gonna decide that later.
No, I understand that, but what's gonna, if we don't put a number in it now, and say you take the numbers out like you're wanting to do, take the numbers completely out of it. If we don't put a number in this plan, whether it's 1, whether it's 2, you are saying 3 to 15, what's gonna set the number later?
The planning commission discussion, that will set, if they feel like that the number needs to change, or a part of the county needs to change, then they'll have to define the map, and I'm sure they'll use, a lot of that information there, but it's, the planning commission will be the one that, chooses whatever minimum lot size.
That's why we want number 1.
There wouldn't be a guideline number to be whatever they want.
So if we take the numbers out, we can change it to whatever, but if we put a number in there, we gotta stick to that as the land use plan, right?
Well, the 3 to 15 would put a,
that puts a marginal number for y'all to set it at whatever later, so that you can bring it, make a resolution to bring it before the commission, right?
yeah, it could be, it could be like
So
3, 5.
if we take the numbers completely out of it, then it can be 3 to 25.
Yes.
Okay, so getting the numbers out of it's not changing nothing.
What's that? Sorry.
So getting the numbers out of what we are voting on next Monday, it's not changing anything.
It's not changing much, I agree with you.
Okay, so that's not changing nothing. Everybody in this room don't want the 3 acres.
Sure, and I guess the low density, you could consider that.
I live in Pleasantville. There's not, I can't name you hardly any places that's come up in Pleasantville where anybody's even built a house lately.
Sure.
I understand what, my end of the county has a road. I understand her end of the county, she can do whatever she wants to with her property. That's where I'm going with this, is if she can do whatever she wants to with her property.
I agree with that.
And y'all don't put any numbers in this whatsoever. It can still change to whatever you want it to, as long as it passes the 14 of these people.
Yeah, and there'll have to be a lot of discussion about that.
So taking the numbers out of it does nothing.
A little bit, I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Rodney, it goes right back to what we are tonight. The same process that got us here would be the same process that would have to happen before, is that correct?
Well, I'm understanding that, but everybody's saying, well, let's just take the numbers out of it and then make everybody happy.
Yeah, it won't be, I mean, it's.
Taking the numbers out of it don't change nothing, that's what I'm trying to say. Am I correct with that?
You're absolutely correct.
Yes, no, right, you're absolutely correct. But we'll change I think what you're wanting to do, and I would encourage you to talk to one of your.
My father-in-law is my.
It's to get Ricky to help write a resolution.
Right there.
But to get Ricky to help write a resolution that says it can't be anything but 1 acre. That, I mean, there's a remedy to what you're talking about. It's just not through the land use
Well,
plan.
I
It's through a
understand that,
resolution.
but as we discussed, well, as y'all did last Thursday night, y'all was up here, I watched it on Facebook. I think it was Facebook, it's YouTube the next day, actually. I think it was, one of y'all come up with a potable water resolution. It got shut down, right? So even though I come to this man, and he writes a resolution, and y'all 14 people don't pass it, nothing changes.
That's true. It has to be a resolution that's gonna get passed. But I mean, there's a remedy, if that's the concern, there's a remedy, but it's not through something in the land use plan, it's through getting somebody to write a resolution that says, this is what we're gonna go do.
Look, I have 2 kids that I'm raising, hopefully I hope one day they'll live. But my thing about it is there's 17 acres down the road from me that just sold for $17,000 an acre. If they have to buy a 3-acre parcel, or a 5-acre, or a 15, or whatever that is, when they're coming straight out of college, that's not gonna be sufficeable in this county. And I don't know how any of y'all are, I don't know if you want your kids to live here or not. I don't know how many people's kids do live here, but I'd like for mine to grow up here, I'd like for my grandkids to grow up here. But if you change the land to 3 acres, which is what I'm doing, it may not be. This is for later guidelines that we're going to change later on. That's what I'm asking. I know you're over there smirking, making fun of me.
Again, you seem to be concerned that there's going to be somebody in this group that's going to pass 8 people who are going to agree to a minimum acreage change of 3 acres or something other than 1.
But what I'm
saying is, Rodney, is instead of being protective, and I'm suggesting this, instead of being, if that is a real concern, there's a lot of times we write a rule that says, we're not gonna wait for somebody to screw us over, we're gonna sit there and try to do it, we're gonna give them a block. We can write a block. If you get 8 people to support a block, we can do that.
I understand that, but it goes back to what he did last week. One of y'all, I don't remember which one, I think it was you, about the particle water. If 8 of y'all don't agree on it, then it don't change. But what I'm trying to say here is whether we put the numbers in it or not, if nothing changes.
Well,
Whether we put 3 to 15 in it, or we leave it out, nothing changes. You told me that.
I disagree with them a little bit, because I think the 3 to 15, like, I think it holds us in a range. Like, I wish that we would take the numbers out, because that way it gives us the liberty to.
Make it whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, and it just let the discussions begin on whatever we think the best thing is to do, and if it is to leave it the same, then it is. That's my thought. That's why that I disagree with them, and so, but that's.
Did you leave the 3 to 15 now?
So,
That's what he's saying.
Chairman,
Make it 19.
I mean, I think.
Are there any more questions?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, sorry for the list group, but anyways. Really quickly, just help educate me, just a brief description, like what areas of the county, what does this commission do? Like, and I really wanna know, like, what do y'all have input in? Like, what are y'all able to influence in the county?
Your property tax rate,
Okay,
whether or not a new high school gets built,
okay,
how much the deputies get paid.
so it's a little bit of.
We'll be here for a while, if you want me to go all the way down to this.
No, just a little bit of everything, perfect.
That check you write to the trustee, we pretty much say where that money goes.
Because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just asking questions that didn't, belong in this room. So when does the county road commissioner get involved with y'all's group? Or does he? I just met him, by the way. He was super nice.
The quick answer is that in our, there's minimum standards for roads.
Uh-huh.
And they're, because that's kind of their area, they help us set those. I think that's what your question
So
meant.
they just help with the guidelines.
Yeah.
For
like
planning and
minimum road standards, because if like, well, subdivision is built and the county has to take over the road, we gotta make sure that it is up to specs before, so the county takes it over.
So what, is there anything that this committee does for the blue corner that I think was pointed out that the population has increased by 25% in that one area? Does this county have, or this commission, do y'all have any influence or can do anything about where the population growth is for the roads in that area? Do y'all have any influence over that?
I will say that in District 4, we've probably got more roads paved in the last 3.5 years that I've been on this commission than anywhere else in the county. And Keith and I both were surprised that everybody said yes when those resolutions came up. So
Okay.
yes,
I
there's been.
used to live in 4, I'm now in 3, so I don't run the roads on 4 as much anymore. So that was just curiosity. And then,
Don't live in 5.
I'm on a very, very private dirt road. I'm a lost cause, I know. But, how are these, anything that is open to the public, how are those communicated? Is it in the Hickman County Times?
Yeah, the public notice, the official public notice is in Hickman County Times. There's a monthly calendar that is put out. It's in Hickman County Times.
So it's in the print paper?
Yeah, and it's, I mean,
Okay.
there's work on getting on websites and things like that, yeah.
It does appear online?
The county
Or it's
clerk,
emailed to you or something?
the
Yeah.
county clerk's Facebook page, not Casey Dorton's, but the Hickman County clerk, he does as good a job as anybody does in updating the meeting count.
Okay.
The mayor has a page too, but not Casey Dorton's,
Because that's what I
the
wanted
county
to know
clerk,
is,
the Hickman County clerk.
so many people didn't know about the or the planning, the workshops where the
Yeah.
community was involved to come in. I didn't even know about that, so I was just, and it was commented by someone on the committee, that there wasn't a lot of involvement in the past year until right now.
Call or not calls, he'll put you on it.
This level of engagement, 8 months ago, we'd be through with this thing.
I tried to help make a city in Bonacqua. I was on a committee with a couple of gentlemen in this room. So I know very, very well about when community involvement happens, because we worked on that committee about a decade ago. We had nobody until we really started pounding pavement to get signatures, and that's when so I understand that. My thing was is just, in today's world, just push that out as much as possible.
We put it on Facebook, I put it on Concerned Citizens, I put it on my page. I mean, I tried, Casey shared it on his Facebook. I mean, it was in the paper and all, so yes, but I'm sure there's probably better ways, but yes,
That's fine, I just need to know where to go or where to know to follow these things. Or else I would have been with y'all a year ago, or 8 months ago, or at every single one of those.
Any other questions? Yes,
I have
ma'am.
one more.
Okay.
Is any, and this may be ugly, but I don't mean it to be. Does any of our commissioners that are on the board right now have any discussion with developers at this time on their own property? Nobody?
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that answer.
I don't think so either, but I just thought I'd shoot it out there.
Man in the black, I apologize, I didn't get your name.
Okay, the green book again, you have 3 to 15 acres in there, correct?
No,
It's just one acre.
it's all 1 acre. It's all 1 acre.
What are we talking 3 to 15 acres?
It's the future land.
Okay, well, so that's not the new one there?
No.
My bad, I thought that was the
Oh,
new
no
one.
problem.
Okay, 3 to 15 acres. You say we can take it out, right? Y'all can take the 3 to 15 acres out
Of the point,
of the plan?
yes.
So why can't you put 1 acre in instead of having to do
The 1 acre is already in the book.
so,
Leave it at
why is
what it's saying.
3 to 5, 15 acres? Why is it in there?
It was just, it was a suggestion by Grisham Smith to achieve the goals of the preservation, the rural preservation, and that was a suggestion by them.
I'm asking, why can't you just put 1 acre in there, is what it's set at, and it'd be set at there?
Well, I mean, I think that we still need to have some discussion about, like if there are some changes to be made, like I don't wanna limit us on that, that's my
Put it to a county vote, that'd be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't put everything to I understand what you're saying by that, so.
This is a pretty big one.
Sure, and I think you just gotta communicate through your commissioners, you know, on things, you know, I mean, that's what I'm.
We only got 2 of them.
Well, you could call, I mean, I take calls from.
We texted.
Why don't our commissioners set up meetings before y'all have meetings and call a meeting in the area?
Yeah, I put my phone number out there.
I'm sorry, we're trying to answer, we're answering some questions, trying to answer some questions. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
asked it already,
Yeah.
did you not hear?
Yeah, I think that what you're
Why
asking,
can't you put 1 acre in there now, because you don't want to?
there's already 1 acre in the,
Detlef, it's, I think.
What you're voting on Monday says 3 to 15 acres.
Yes, and
And if you take that out, then there'll be wide open to put 3 to 99 acres.
yeah, to me, it just
So
opens
why
this
can't
discussion.
you put 1 acre in there?
I mean, you could,
Why
but,
not?
I mean,
Why?
oh, sure, yeah.
We will bring before the county commission a resolution. In order to do that, we have to put forth the paperwork to make sure the change happens. And that's the process that we're gonna do Monday night, is to bring forth a resolution that states 1 acre, go back to what we originally had, and then the 14 will vote on that, and that's what will be put into plan use, and then we'll vote on the whole thing. Correct? So yes.
So Danny Clark, you know where my vote is. I'd like for you to vote for it.
Let's try to wrap this up. I think everybody agreed along. All right, Mark.
Well, someone online said, you said you would write the land use resolutions different than the growth plan. Then will the state excuse what TCA 658-107 says, that all future resolutions has to follow the growth plan?
Say it again.
You said you would write the land use resolutions different than the growth plan.
The land use.
Land use resolution.
The green book.
The code.
Okay.
Different than the growth plan. Then will the state excuse, the law 6-58-107 says that all future resolutions has to follow the growth plan.
Okay.
That was what I was talking about on Wilson County earlier. They wanted to go to 2, they did not have a land use plan that they had ever discussed going to 2.
Okay.
So when they did it without having done it in the land use plan, the developer sued them and the judge overturned the county resolution approved by the Wilson County Commission to make it 2 acres. They overturned that. Wilson County had to go through the process of changing it in the land use plan. Then they raised their agricultural zoning. They created an A2 to put their true farmland in to make it less attractive to the developers. Unless we address it in some form in here, we're subject to have a judge overturn any zoning that if we just pull it out of thin air.
Which is why the acreage problem doesn't solve it. And so like he said, you can take out the number, it won't make a difference because it'll just be overturned. You can put in a number, but now we're bound by handcuffs.
I think there's some, okay.
any other questions? So, we'll call this meeting over. Thank you.
Don't you be for April?
No.
This could have gone better.
But I can't think of any, how it could have gone worse. So.